you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty.
Thank you. You're far too kind.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty.
Thank you. You're far too kind.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew, welcome to another episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. I'm your host, Manager Marty. We have a very good show today, so double salute to everyone watching the live broadcast right now, live in living color, to all of the Roll the Tape family members that will be in the chat tonight, to everyone watching the replay of this live. I appreciate all of your viewership. Double salute to my guy, Gary. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. What's up, Gary? Good to see you, brother. We have some boxing to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about a couple of fighters tonight. Shakur Stevenson versus Floyd Schofield Jr., a.k.a. Kid Austin. That fight is quote-unquote official now. And we're going to talk about what you all have been waiting for, a topic that I was going to speak on yesterday, but due to time constraints, we couldn't really deal with it and unpack it the way I wanted to deal with it and unpack it, because we were focused on Kid Austin's dad, Floyd Schofield Sr., and his threats toward me and him filing a lawsuit. So we couldn't really deal with it yesterday. And I'm talking about the topic that has been buzzing the YouTube boxing community, that Jaron Boots Ennis ducked Vergil Ortiz Jr. And we're going to deal with it. We're going to talk about it. But before we do all of that, I want to welcome each and every last one of you once again that are here live with me, live in living color, and those of you who are watching the replay of this live, everybody in the chat. We need answers. And so we have to deal with it. Typically, as you all know, we do our town watch check-in. But because this topic is so hot, the air fryer have to be plugged in on this topic of Boots ducking Vergil Ortiz. I want to take my time and unpack that. And one of the things that you all know at this point that helps the air fryer warm up is when we gain support on the channel. Not just through the viewership, not just through participating and engaging in the chat, but also through your monetary and financial contributions. And you know, the more super chats we get, the more cash apps we get to support this, to support the channel. You know, the air fryer just keep on warming up. Double salute to my guy, JSir72. He's a member of the channel, also a supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. And you know how I do. when we have controversial topics, you know how I do. I drop the link right there in the chat. And as always, it's pinned to the top. I'm not going to hold you all too long this evening. But the link is pinned to the top of the chat, and we're going to deal with it. Double salute to the first and definitely not the only super chat of the evening from my guy, Gary. Thank you for your support and contribution to the channel, Gary. Gary says, we need answers. Boots ain't no duck. And that was from my guy, Gary. Before we get to Boots and Vergil Ortiz and Boots ducking Vergil Ortiz, I want everybody to grab a plate. Come on in, come on in. Don't worry about who else is not here. You just come on in. Yeah, come on in. The heat's on, so don't leave the door open because you're going to let the heat out. So come on in, grab a plate. I have some food to serve you. Yeah, food for thought. Come on, grab a plate, have a seat. You're all welcome. Let's get right into this. Now, I heard, now you know, I don't go by hearsay, but I'm going to tell you what I heard. And it's probably some of the similar information that you all have heard today and even yesterday as well, that it's official. Shakur Stevenson is going to fight Floyd Schofield Jr., a.k.a. Kid Austin. I got a question on that. Where are they fighting at? Like the venue? Do anyone know the venue? Okay. What date are they actually fighting on? Does anyone know? I'm just asking because I'm telling you what I heard. I heard that it's official that Kid Austin and Shakur Stevenson, they're fighting each other. Yes, it's been signed, sealed, and delivered. So I'm just trying to figure out, where are they fighting at and what date are they fighting on? I'm just trying to figure that out first before I, be talking about something and I don't have all the information. Yeah. Because, we going by hearsay. So that's why I'm just trying to figure out if I'm accurate on what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Okay, somebody in the chat said February the 22nd. Somebody else in the chat said Saudi Arabia, supposedly. Oh, okay. How much are they fighting for? Anybody know? Because, on YouTube, I don't know why content creators are impressed to keep speaking about purses and money. I don't know, but how much are they all getting paid since we pocket watching on YouTube? How much? Did they talk about that yet? There's a reason why I'm asking these questions. Because what happens is, hey, Miss Joette, how you doing, sweetheart? The reason why I'm asking that question is because all we're doing on YouTube nowadays, I'm talking about as a whole, collectively, and I'm including boxing fans as well, is going by hearsay. Now, remember, in January of this year, one of the things that I told you all about, y'all remember this, was the theme of 2024 on this channel was, we're not going to go by hearsay. We're going to make sure that when people speak, they verify the information. Remember that? Because all year long, I haven't seen any changes. I keep hearing people say, this is what's going to happen, and this was going to happen, and that's going to happen. And there hasn't been any proof to substantiate any of these things. Like, I'm going to give you an example, right? Remember, I'm just proving a point. I'm using it as a reference. Remember when people kept saying that the reason why the fight is not going to happen on December the 14th between Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. Some people said it was because there were issues with the venue. Some other people said it was over money. Y'all remember that? And what did I say? Some of y'all might not remember this, but I'm going to tell you what I said. What difference does it make? It was never announced that the fight was canceled in the first place. You remember I said that? Because anything can happen. Anything can happen. I said, we will find out when the fight is going to happen between Tank and Lamont Roach. We will find out where the fight is going to be held at between Tank and Lamont Roach when an official announcement has been made. Remember I said that? I said that literally 2 weeks ago in the video I published. And I'm still standing by that even now. So I want to lay the foundation with that first. Then we can talk about the fight between Shakur and Kid Austin. That's why I'm asking, when are they fighting? Where are they fighting? There has not been an official announcement yet. So what I'm basically saying is it's all hearsay. Right? So for entertainment purposes, we can talk about it. But sometimes, let me reframe that. Most times, when it comes to boxing media, the moment that somebody who definitely is not even involved in any of the process of the fights even happening, is the minute that someone reports something, everybody shoot and just run with it. Most of the time. Most of the time. We're gonna get the boots in Vergil Ortiz in just a second. Can I get one like? You know I don't ask for much. I just need one like, just one. I don't ask for much. Because I want the education to reverberate across the YouTube boxing community. Because people are all jumping on the same boat right now. And I wanted to bring people back to a place of establishing a healthy foundation when we talk about these fights happening. So let's start with Shakur Stevenson against Kid Austin. We know right now, and I talked about this in a video that I published a week ago. We know that Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions would rather for Shakur Stevenson to fight William Zepeda. Why? Because William Zepeda and Shakur Stevenson will generate more money than a Floyd Schofield versus a Shakur Stevenson, right? But they said that William Zepeda injured his hand. That's what they said. Now, I didn't see any evidence of this. Have you all? Maybe you did. I don't know. I didn't see the verification of it. I didn't see any documentation. I didn't see any pictures with his hand wrapped. I haven't seen, did y'all? I'm talking about with a gauze on there or some type of bandage or a cast or, you know, something like that. I haven't seen it, so I don't know, but I'm just going by what they said, that William Zepeda injured his hand in the fight when he fought Tevin Former. And so because that fight is not happening, Shakur Stevenson is officially, quote unquote, officially going to fight Kid Austin. I got a question on it. Just one question. This really don't have nothing to do with them actually fighting. I just had a question on something. Actually, I had two. No, all right, I'm going to leave that last one alone. I'm just going to ask one. How come Kid Austin is conducting an interview about this fight with his dad there? I'm just trying to figure out, when is he going to be allowed? When is Kid Austin going to be allowed to just conduct an interview just by himself? I'm just asking the question, Boxing Hacker. I'm not trying to start. Okay, maybe I am trying to start controversy, but it's just a question. When is Kid Austin going to be allowed as the professional boxer, as the fighter? When is he going to be allowed to just conduct an interview by himself? He is paying all the bills at the house. He's paying all the utilities at the house. He's paying the mortgage. He's paying the grocery bills that the house his dad live in with him. You know they share a house, right? And that's nothing wrong with. Yeah, all right. Well, anyway, when is he going to? I'm just asking a question. I'm just curious to know this. When is he going to be allowed to just conduct an interview on his own? Because when the press conference starts, if this fight actually happens officially, he's still not going to be by himself. He's going to be sitting at the table on the stage next to his dad. I'm just trying to figure out, when is the young man going to be able and allowed to just be in an interview just by himself for once? I'm just asking the question. I just wanted to know that real quick. Now, speaking of interview, I'm going to say this. I don't care. Who cares? Who cares? How come in the first, I'm going to leave that. No, I'm going to say it. Why not? I'm just asking a question. Floyd Schofield Sr. What's up? Double salute to my guy. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll the Tape film crew. Band Up, my guy. What's up, Band Up? I just had a question on this. I wasn't going to bring this up, but we're here now, so what? I'm just asking a question. Floyd Schofield Sr. was in an interview, right? First interview since the tape in the footage drop of him physically assaulting a woman. I didn't see the interview, but I'm gonna ask you all. I didn't see it. I'm just trying to ask a question on this. Was he asked about his conduct in that video? Because this is the first time he's making a public appearance on a platform where he's being interviewed. I'm just asking. I just wanted to know, if y'all don't mind, anybody. I just want to know. That was the first time he made a public appearance on a platform by being interviewed, where someone can actually ask him a question about that video. You know, like for instance, when Sean Combs, right, got caught with the video when he physically assaulted Cassie, right? If he was being interviewed anywhere in the world, you know, people that is conducting the interview, you know they're going to ask him about that. You know, I mean, it's just natural to ask that question, like, what happened? You know, I'm just asking. Okay, all right. I was just curious to know, was he asked any questions about his conduct in that video, since this was his first? All right, I was asked. All right. Anyway, so let's talk about this real quick. We know that Oscar De La Hoya, and he said it himself. I mean, I published a video earlier today. Oscar De La Hoya actually criticized Shakur Stevenson and Eddie Hearn, particularly Eddie Hearn, for even reaching out to him about Shakur Stevenson fighting Kid Austin. Remember that? Y'all remember that, right? He criticized them. He criticized Eddie Hearn and Shakur Stevenson for trying to, his words not mine, fight his prospect. So apparently, Oscar De La Hoya, as a promoter, do not want this fight to happen. And actually, I actually don't blame him. I actually do not blame him. because Kid Austin is a prospect. And there's nothing wrong with him being a prospect. I think he's in a good, privileged position. But they, meaning Kid Austin and his dad, more so his dad. Kid Austin don't even do a whole lot of talking. It's really his dad calling out Shakur Stevenson and insulting and publicly shaming other boxers. That's his dad doing all of that. And we all know the motivation is money. I mean, we have to keep it 100. We know that's the motivation. And we see these things happen over and over again with these fathers who do not have good intentions or a good moral compass. They overshadow their sons and they do all of this talking by insulting and shaming other fighters. That's the truth. And now this fight is officially going to happen. I won't believe that this fight's going to happen until an official announcement is made where the fight's going to happen and take place at, and when this fight is actually going to happen. And I want an official, just like I asked for every other promotion to do it, an official announcement from Golden Boy Promotions and or Matchroom Promotions and or ESPN and or The Zone. Because now that's another question I have for people who are reporting that this fight is actually going to happen and it's official. What network is this fight going to take place on? Because we know that Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, they have a deal with The Zone, right? And we also know that Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions also have a deal with The Zone. So I guess the easy answer that I expect everybody to say is that the fight should happen on The Zone. That's the only thing right now that we can say is for sure. Hey, who that? Miss Alexandria? Hey, Miss Alexandria. What's going on? Good to see you in the chat. So we're here in February 22nd in Saudi Arabia. I know, but I'm trying to figure out who announced that. Has it been officially announced by The Zone, by Matchroom, by Golden Boy Promotions? I'm not saying the fight's not going to happen. What I'm saying is I won't believe it's going to happen until an official announcement is made by the entities involved. And there's a reason why I'm actually saying that. And I'll tell you all about that later. So that's what I'm just asking. Because if that's the case, since there is a date that's floating around, right? February 22nd in Saudi Arabia. That's what it is. That's the date, right? That's the next fight. Right? Okay. Okay, well, I mean, I haven't seen it nowhere else. I mean, that's what I'm. Is it on BoxRec yet? I'm just saying they said there's an announcement that was made. See, I'm laying a foundation for something, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roller Tape Film Crew. So Shakur Stevenson and Kid Austin they're fighting February 22nd. They're fighting on The Zone, and they're fighting in Saudi Arabia. Right? This is what we're hearing. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Since that's the case, I'm just asking a question. Is this fight publicized on BoxRec yet? That's a pop quiz question. Anybody can answer that. It's not? It is? I mean, I already know the answer to the question. I just want to know if y'all knew the answer. I'm looking now, Miss Alexandra. I see it now on the Instagram. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me see something. Okay, 22nd, Stevenson. Oh, okay, okay. All right, let's see something. Is it on BoxRec yet? I saw the flyer, Miss Alexandria. Thank you for sending that. I appreciate it. I see that now. I was just asking a question on BoxRec. Is it on? Is that fight? Is that on BoxRec yet? That fight? I'm talking about the Shakur Stevenson and Kid Austin. Is it on BoxRec right now? Okay. I'm trying to use this as a teachable moment for you all. Thank you, Miss Alexandria again. She said no, it's not on BoxRec, and she can't find it on BoxRec. And hey, Key, I can't find it on BoxRec either. The fights, all of those fights that was on the flyer that you sent me, Key, I couldn't find any of those fights on BoxRec. Me personally, I couldn't find it. And listen, I'm not saying the fight's not going to happen. What I'm basically saying is it's not official until the entities involved announce it. It's not official until the proper regulations approve it. You see where I'm going with this? So basically what I'm saying is just hearsay. I'm laying the foundation for something that's about to come your way. And so what I'm getting at is, Boxing Hacker, how about we start waiting until official announcements actually take place before we start rendering a verdict? I'm not saying fights that we want to see we shouldn't talk about. What I'm saying is it's publicized as it's official, but the regulatory bodies haven't confirmed anything yet. We're just going by a journalist. We're just going by what one of the fighters said in the interview. We're just going by what this person said and that person said. We're going by hearsay. That's all and listen, I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm using this as a teachable moment because the last time this happened, when we went by hearsay, everybody kept running around in a circle because we didn't have enough information. You see my point? That's all. Hey, that's all I'm saying, because what happens is when somebody put out one piece of information, instead of us stepping back, right, and doing our due diligence, most of the time, people just run right to the information and then repeat it. And you know, if you repeat something long enough, it becomes true in the minds of a lot of people. So basically what I'm saying is, I don't know if Shakur Stevenson and Kid Austin is going to fight on February 22nd in Saudi Arabia. I don't know. But when the regulatory bodies confirm it, when the business entities involved confirm it officially, then I will believe. Then I will believe. Until then, this is just all what we are hearing. Now back to, in case this fight does happen. Let's talk about it real quick. We're going to get the boots ducking Ortiz in a second. Now, Kid Austin is a prospect, right? We know that. Kid Austin is in line to fight one of the top dogs in the division. Right now, they saying it's Shakur. But remember, just the day before yesterday, matter of fact, no, Sunday, Saturday, Friday, about 4 days ago, when De La Hoya did the clap back Thursday, he actually criticized Eddie Hearn for basically targeting a prospect for Shakur Stevenson to cherry pick. I'm just going by what De La Hoya said. He's criticizing Eddie Hearn for this. And he also basically said, and I've heard him say this, that Kid Austin is not ready right now to fight someone as experienced as a world champion caliber fighter like Shakur Stevenson. And I would have to agree with you. So I had a question. If Shakur Stevenson and Kid Austin does fight, right? If Shakur and Kid Austin fight, I had a question. I'm just asking a question. If Shakur dominate Kid Austin, let's say he did circles around him, let's say he knock him down or whatever, let's say he knock him out, let's say he don't knock him out or knock him down and he win the fight. Will Shakur get credit for beating Kid Austin? That's for the chat. I want to engage in this. I want to keep us all engaged this evening before we get to Boots versus Ortiz. Or let me not even say versus, because remember, Boots ducked Ortiz. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Will Shakur get credit if he wins against Kid Austin? Can we engage in the chat? I'm not going to hold you all too long. I'm just trying to figure something out. That's all. Thank you, J Sir, for answering. J Sir said no. Shakur won't get any credit if he fought Kid Austin. Anybody else? We're going to get the Boots in a second, because I know most of y'all, that's what you came here for. We're going to get to it. Will Shakur get credit? I mean, because Kid Austin, he been like throwing small little shots, but his dad is the one who's itching for a big payday, you know, because his son is the meal ticket. So, you know, his dad is going on everybody's platform for months now, for a long time, months and months and months now, screaming Shakur Stevenson's name, saying that Shakur Stevenson got hands and feet put on him. He ain't say the feet part. He didn't say the feet part, but hands on him, and that his son basically dominated Shakur in sparring. Y'all remember that? And then Shakur popped up on the FaceTime and basically pushed both Floyd's, Kid Austin and his dad, against the wall. And all I heard Floyd Schofield Sr. say, "Oh, no, you're a great fighter, Shakur." He backed down from Shakur. All that trash he was talking. And then Shakur pulled right up on him. And he started backpedaling. And then Shakur actually told everybody exactly what happened in sparring when he went on several other platforms. And so that's how Shakur's name even came up to even fight Kid Austin. Because Shakur publicized, his words not mine, that Kid Austin is a little boy to him. So I just trying to figure out, if Shakur beat Kid Austin, a prospect, according to Oscar De La Hoya, will he get credit for beating Kid Austin? Because if he does get credit, then guess what? He should fight him. If he's going to get credit, based on the responses that I'm seeing in the chat right now, if Shakur's going to get credit, then he should fight Kid Austin. In other words, there's not going to be an excuse from De La Hoya or no one else saying, well, Kid Austin was just a prospect. He went in there and he fought Shakur and he lost, but he was a prospect. Nobody will have the luxury to say that if Shakur beats Kid Austin. Because I believe This is just my assessment. I believe that Shakur should get credit if he beats Kid Austin, just as much as Kid Austin would deserve credit if he beats Shakur. I don't think Kid Austin can beat Shakur Stevenson. I don't. I mean, I understand his dad saying that he's going to knock Shakur out, but I don't think that Kid Austin is going to beat Shakur Stevenson. I don't. I think Shakur's experience is going to prove dividends in that fight if the fight does officially happen. I think Kid Austin has heart and he will put up a fight against Shakur. So I commend the young man for that. No problem. No problem for me on that. Always support the fighters that decide to get in that ring, irregardless of their skill level. But Shakur Stevenson, and we all know this, is levels above Kid Austin. But even in that, if Shakur win against Kid Austin, I'm just saying, he deserves credit. Now, some people may push back and say there's other fighters Shakur could have fought. But I'm going to tell you why this is a good fight for Shakur, because most people are not talking about this, I think. This is a good fight for Shakur because Shakur Stevenson is coming off of a hand injury. Didn't Shakur have to get surgery on his hand? So this is a good opportunity for Shakur to see how he's going to feel. Not in sparring, right? Where you have headgear on, bigger size gloves, right? He's going to be fighting in smaller ounces. I'm talking about glove sizes. And that's where the pressure is going to come on Shakur to see how he's going to respond with his hand. Because a lot of fighters change up their styles once they start developing hand problems. But in Shakur's case, he's always been a good boxer, a great boxer, actually. A good counterpuncher, a good boxer puncher. So it's not like he was offensive in his style first, hurt his hand, then now he had to be defensive minded, and then he had to just box and make adjustments. He was already a boxer puncher, great counter puncher, and a boxer in general as far as his fighting style. And so that will prove dividends for Shakur. Because if Shakur get in there, his first fight back off a hand surgery against a more experienced level fighter, especially with power and a granite chin, where it's going to be hard for Shakur to keep that fighter off of him, that can prove a lot of problems for Shakur. So this fight for him, if this fight is going to officially happen, this fight for him is a good barometer to see how he's going to respond. And hopefully he don't re-injure his hand. I think it's a good fight. Styles make fights. And according to how Kid Austin fight, this fight plays into the advantage of Shakur Stevenson. But it's an opportunity for the young man, Kid Austin, to get a bag, to get his highest payday, and I respect that. The only risk involved for Kid Austin is if he loses this fight. If this fight officially happens, if he loses this fight with Shakur, how is he going to respond? How is he going to respond? I'm going to tell you right now, from the things that I've heard his dad say with their training regimen, he's not going to even be able to outlast Shakur. A lot of people don't give Shakur credit for this gift and strength that he has, but I am right now. Shakur Stevenson has a lot of gifts, right? He has a lot of gifts. And one of his strengths and gifts that I believe is under recognized is his conditioning, his durability within the 12-round fights, right? And according to Kid Austin's dad, he said that when, and this is literally like 2 weeks ago, he said that when his son was training, when he was training his son to fight in the last fight that was scheduled in his mind as a 10-round fight, they only trained and sparring for 10 rounds and that's it. Usually, even the amateur boxers, even little kids, even teenagers, even masters, all the amateur boxers, they do this before many of them even become pro. And then, of course, the pros do it. They don't train for the amount of rounds that they're actually going to compete in. So let's just say a 15-year-old amateur boxer who's scheduled to fight in a 3-round fight. It's not going to train for just 3 rounds only. I'm just saying. But if Kid Austin dad bring this regimen of training where he's only going to train just for the amount of rounds that they're going to compete in, that's going to be a bad look for the young boy, Kid Austin. Like it was a bad look for him in his last fight. Because you saw how he threw a lot of punches, but going down the stretch, his conditioning was not good. And that was for 10 rounds. Where his conditioning wasn't good. Because the fight went the whole 12 rounds. But I'm talking about in the mind of his dad, that was for 10 rounds that they trained. Even though the fight was scheduled for 12 rounds. And Kid Austin can't get in there with Shakur Stevenson having conditioning issues, getting tired, and getting too fatigued, especially in the championship rounds where he reduced his power in his punches, where he reduced his punch output, and then he becomes susceptible because of fatigue. You know, fatigue make you more susceptible to get punched, and because you lack awareness, because you're fatigued. Hey, Dory, what's going on, Dory? Salute to all the ladies in the chat. I love when the women are here. They learn about the sport of boxing. They're so gracious in the chat. But if Kid Austin, and I'm just saying if this fight becomes official, if Kid Austin get in that ring against Shakur Stevenson, and he had the same stamina issues that he had in his last fight with Shakur, it's going to be a problem for this young guy. So I agree with the tenacity that they're showing to call out big money fights, because of course I can tell you right now, I can ask Floyd Schofield Sr. 2 questions. I said this before about somebody else, but I'm gonna leave it on them. I can ask Floyd Schofield Sr. He the manager, right? The father, he's the manager, right? Okay. I can ask him 2 questions. And based on his answers, I can tell you exactly how much their purse would be in their guaranteed contract with Golden Boy. So this is definitely going to be by far, and I say by far, I mean like by far, their biggest payday. So I get it. How they're calling out Shakur. I get it. It's a big name. Why not? This will be his second, Kevin Rice. This will be his second 12-round fight if he does fight Shakur Stevenson. His second. Okay? And you got to look at it from Golden Boy Promotions' perspective of why De La Hoya didn't want this fight to happen in the first place, right? From a promotional perspective, because Kid Austin is a prospect. And he's not making the money that someone like a Shakur Stevenson can demand, right? So by right, if De La Hoya got to put out money to promote this young man, the first thing that De La Hoya is trying to do as a promoter, the first thing is to recoup on his initial investment, because promoters put out money for fighters, not just for one fight. They're building up fighters. It's a lot of money, a lot of resources that are invested in fighters that are coming up in the rankings. And so once that fighter becomes a world champion, then that's when most of the time the recoupment happens. And then, of course, the profit subsequently follows. So if you look at it from the promoter's perspective, Kid Austin haven't headlined a card in his hometown yet. So that goes to show you that Golden Boy were taking their time with the young man, as they should, and continuously building him up. And so if Kid Austin loses this fight, not only is it bad for the promoter, but it's bad for the business of the Schofields. And so that's why, as a promoter, you have to be very strategic. You know what I mean? Very strategic on how you line up fighters. Have the right matchmaker putting fights together to build up the fighter to get the world championship contention. That's how the business of boxing works. So if this fight does happen officially and Shakur beat Kid Austin, I don't want to hear no excuses that Kid Austin was a prospect, that he didn't have the experience. I don't want to hear no excuses now. Shout out to my guy Dean by any means. He's in the chat. I don't want to hear no excuses now. Shakur Stevenson deserves credit. But Kid Austin needs to be very prepared, because the way his dad was talking about that last fight, where they only trained for 10 rounds, that's not how boxers train, man. Boxers, whether they're amateurs or professionals, they train for more rounds than they're actually going to compete in. So if they go in there with these small little training regimens that they squeeze by in their last fight, they get in there thinking they're going to do that with Shakur, Kid Austin going to have a short night. He's going to have a short night, because there's a gift, and I'm repeating this last part, and we're going to get the boots in a second for the new audience that just joined us. There's a gift and a strength that Shakur Stevenson do have that most people under-publicize, under-acknowledge, and under-appreciate, and that's his conditioning. And Shakur Stevenson have shown us time and time again that he can endure for an entire 12 rounds. I mean, he's done it for so many times, for so many years. So his experience level is going to kick in, obviously, against a prospect like Kid Austin. But all that talking that these guys been doing, more so the father, we don't want to hear no excuses if Shakur Stevenson beat Kid Austin. Now, enough with the hugs, handshakes, and Valentine's Day cards. Let's get to this whole debacle that's been on the YouTube boxing community platforms for several days now, that Boots ducked Vergil Ortiz. We're going to deal with it right now, okay? Can I get one like? I don't ask for much. I want someone to give a like, not because I'm begging for viewership. It's because it's all about when the likes come, because my channel has been officially shadow banned by YouTube. Just wanted to put that out there publicly. But what happens is it'll push the algorithm out a little bit, just a tad bit farther, just a little bit, because the education that I present on this channel is paramount. That's all I'm saying, y'all. I don't ask for much. But when I do ask, it's because I really need it or I really want it. And I appreciate everybody that's in the chat. I appreciate everybody that's viewing live and living color and the replay of the live. Because now the YouTube boxing community, they're going bananas. Because Boots ducked Vergil Ortiz. That's what we've been hearing, right? All right. I want to direct your attention to a few audios. A few pieces of audio I want to play for you, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, member of the Roll to Tape film crew. Hold on for 1 second. Before I play the audio, I got about 3 or 4 different clips. I want y'all to hear it. Double salute to my guy, Andre Smith. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll to Tape film crew. I want to play something. I'm going to play about 3 or 4 different let me show you all something, because I want to point this out. You ain't going to find this nowhere else. That's why I'm glad y'all here. What weight class does Vergil Ortiz fight at? I need the chat to engage. Let me take the hoodie off. I need the chat to engage right now. I just want to ask the question, what weight class does Vergil Ortiz compete at right now? Because I want to make sure we're on the same page, y'all, okay? I see 2, 3 people say 154. Okay, 154. Okay, I see 154. Okay. What weight class should Vergil Ortiz compete at? Let me see if somebody get this one. I just want to ask the question. So the first question was, what weight class does Vergil Ortiz compete at right now? All right, so we got 154. I got that. Okay. What weight class should Vergil Ortiz compete at? That's what I want to hear. I seen it in the chat. I'm going to wait till more people. Yeah. Somebody know about boxing in the chat. This is what I love. I got the hottest chat in boxing right here tonight. The answers I see here. Now, let me say this. And this is my 3rd question and final question for now. I got more questions, but for now. So I asked you all, what weight class does Vergil Ortiz compete at? Y'all answered and said 154. Got it. Okay. Then I asked, what weight class should Vergil Ortiz compete at? Some people said 160. Some people said between 154 and 160. Some people even said 162 pounds. So my 3rd question is this. If Boots told you all right now, let's say he come out right now at 5:44 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and he publicly come out and say that he's moving to 160 pounds, would you all have a problem with that? I'm just asking. We're going to get to it. We're going to get to this man ducking this guy. We're going to get to it. Would y'all have a problem with that? Y'all want to see Boots at 160? Double salute to my guy, Jeremy Austin. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll to Tape film crew. I'm going to ask it again. Do you all want to see Boots compete at 160? I mean, if Boots come out right now and say, look, I'm moving up to the 160-pound weight class. I'm going all the way up to be a middleweight, and I'm going to compete at middleweight. I see a couple of people saying they would have a problem with that. No, not 154. No, not that. I'm talking about 160. If he says, I'm going up to 160. A couple people say that's fine. Some people say it's not fine. They would have a problem with him going to 160. Why? For those of you that said that if Boots moved up to 160, if he said right now, in live time, I'm moving up to 160. I'm competing at 160 as of today. The ones that said that you would have a problem with it. No, he's not fighting for a belt at 160. No. If he just said, I'm moving up there now, that's my new weight class as of today. Those of you that say that you have issue with it, let me ask you why. Okay, somebody in the chat says too big of a weight jump too soon. All right. Anyone else? That was the question to those who think Boots should move up or would. No, I'm sorry. That question was for those who would have a problem with Boots going up to 160. All right, so should Boots jump up to 160? We're back now. Some people say he should. Some people say it'll be no problem for him. Some people says they would have a problem with it. They wouldn't want him to move up to 160 pounds today. Let me tell you why I'm asking that question. I'm gonna tell you why I'm asking that question. We talking about Vergil Ortiz, right? All right. You ain't gonna find this nowhere else. I want to put a perspective on it because when we talk about Boots ducking, I want the whole picture to be painted correctly. Okay. Double salute to my guy, Sin Ironheart. Thank you for joining us. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll to Tape film crew. And don't forget, the link is pinned to the top of the chat if anybody want to come on and holler at me about this topic. Now, how many fights did Ortiz fight at 154 so far? 3, right? He fought 3 fights at 54, right? From last year to now, he fought 3 times. 154, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he fought 3 times at 154, right? It was 3 times. Yeah. He fought the guy, Frederick Lawson. Then he fought 3 months after that, Thomas Doleme. And then, of course, after that, in August, he fought the guy Sergil Buhachuk. Hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Double salute to my guy, Fort Greene Pharaoh. Good to see you, big dog. He's a member of the channel, supervisor of the Road to Take film crew. I'm going to unpack this. We'll be leaving shortly. I just want to unpack this. I want to tell y'all how Boots ducked Vergil Ortiz. So don't move. Stay right there. Don't move. Don't move. So Vergil Ortiz fought 3 times at 154 pounds, right? Okay. Well, let me put this out there because I think that we all will be at the same page on the facts. And I wanted to point them out just real quick. Last year in January, I'm sorry, this year. January of 2024, Vergil Ortiz fought Frederick Lawson in Vegas. Y'all remember that? His first fight at 54. I want to show y'all something. I want to see if we all on the same page with this. Let me see. Yeah, here it is. Can y'all see this? Can y'all see that? Y'all see that? Let me pull that up here. Are y'all able to see that? Let me see. Oh, yeah. Did y'all see that? Y'all probably didn't see. Did y'all see? So his first fight in January of 2024, his first fight at 154 pounds, right? Vergil Ortiz fought Frederick Lawson. Frederick Lawson came in and he made weight at 152.5 pounds. Victor Ortiz came in at 156 pounds. Did y'all see that? Here you go right there. Okay. That was January of this year. He came in at 156 pounds against Frederick Lawson. Okay. 3 months after that, he fought Thomas Delorme. Thomas Delorme, I'm going to show y'all. Let me show you. Vergil Ortiz came in that fight. Here you go right here. 155.5 pounds. Okay. That was in April. So January of this year, he came in at 156 pounds, which is over the 154-pound weight limit. Then 3 months later in April, he came in at 155.5 pounds, a pound and a half over the weight limit. But in August, when he fought Buhachuk, hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, he came in at the weight 153.75 pounds. So what I'm saying is, in a matter of 1 year, from January, really 8 months, from January to August, Vergil Ortiz fought 3 times in the 154-pound division, and 2 of those times he came in over the weight limits. It's a clear indication that Vergil Ortiz is a naturally big fighter. So that's why I'm asking y'all, would y'all have a problem if Boots went up to 160? Because Boots is at 147. Ortiz is really 160 something, because if he walks around, if he rehydrates, he walk in the ring about between 170 and 175 on the night of the fight. I'm just trying to understand, did y'all want Boots to go up to 160? Yes, Boots is a naturally a big fighter as well, but I'm talking about Vergil Ortiz. Okay, now that we got that out the way, that we know that Vergil Ortiz is a naturally bigger guy, I have another question. I'm only asking questions. I'm going to drop some audio on y'all, but I'm asking questions. I want to make sure we're on the same page. We don't have to agree. I just want... If Boots fight Ortiz right now, right? I'm just talking about right now. If Boots fight Ortiz now, what does Boots benefit? I'm not taking up for Boots. I'm not taking up for Virgil. I'm just asking a question. We're going to get to him ducking him in a second. I want to lay a foundation so we can be on the same page. What does Boots? I need the chat to engage with me. If you're in the comments section, come on and engage with me. If you're watching the replay of this live, we need answers. If Boots fight Vergil Ortiz right now at 154 pounds, I'm just asking, what does he gain for fighting him? Like if he beat Ortiz, like if he fight him, he went against Ortiz, and he come in as the smaller guy naturally, right? What does he gain if he fight like Ortiz? I just want to know. Tell me, because y'all said he ducking him, so I'm trying to show y'all that he ducked. What does Boots gain if he fight Ortiz? Nobody? Nope. I can't get an answer from someone? Okay. Okay. All right. So he fought his mandatory Karen at 147. I had a question on that. I have another question since I can't get. Because a lot of content creators, I see everybody saying Boots ducked. In August, when Vergil Ortiz, because Vergil Ortiz fought in August, right? Vergil Ortiz fought in August. He fought the guy, Boachuk. He fought in August, right? In his last fight in August. When he got knocked down twice in that fight by the guy, Boachuk. So in August, when Ortiz beat Boachuk, right? How come nobody after he won said that they think that Boots should fight him next? I'm talking about on YouTube. I mean, I haven't heard it. I was here. When Vergil Ortiz beat Boachuk, even though he got knocked down twice, how come on YouTube, in the media, how come nobody said anything about Ortiz fighting Boots next? I'm just asking a question. Can someone answer me? Please. I didn't hear it. Now, if y'all heard it, fine. Tell me. I'll pull it up. When Vergil Ortiz fought in August, because I haven't heard nobody say, oh, man, Ortiz looked good. We want him to fight Boots next at 54. We demand Boots fight Vergil Ortiz at 154 pounds. Because you know Boots could have fought him in November. I'm just saying. Oh, nobody was talking about that fight? So what fight was we talking about in August then? Oh, Terrence Crawford versus Madrimov. That's the fight we was talking about in August. Weren't we? Nobody was talking about Vergil Ortiz. Unless they was talking about him getting dropped 2 times and they believed that the decision was controversial, that he won. But I didn't hear nobody say that Vergil Ortiz should fight Boots next after Boots figure out what he wanted to do at 154. Did you? If you heard any content creator say it, type their name in the chat. I'm going to pull them up. Pull their name up. I'll pull it up. I'll pull their channel up. In August, when Vergil Ortiz won that fight, I haven't heard not one person say, yo, Vergil Ortiz, we want him to fight Boots next at 154 pounds. I didn't see the fans of boxing clamoring or demanding that fight. Somebody's asking in my chat, do I let people call in? Somebody in the chat let him know there's a link that's pinned to the top of the chat, and I welcome everyone to go on and click it and come on up. We can talk. Now, so we see there's several facts. We're going to get to Boots ducking him in a second. We see that there are several facts that's been exposed right now. Fact number one is that out of two of Vergil Ortiz's last three fights that happened in the last 8 months, he came in well over the weight limit and was still allowed to compete. Right? Oh, okay then. Now, that was fact number one. So in other words is we know at this point that Vergil Ortiz is not a natural 154 pounder. We also know that Vergil Ortiz is not a 147 pounder anymore. We also know that, right? Okay, cool. Now, there's another fact that's in existence at this point. How come nobody was talking about Vergil Ortiz fighting Boots in August? In his last, after his last fight? Nobody was talking about it. Nobody was even saying anything about Vergil Ortiz fighting Boots next. P.O., you're in the background. I will let you join the show. Turn your camera on so I can see that you're not trolling and you're a real human being, right? And then I'll definitely let you on and we can talk, P.O. All right, that's just my protocol. Nothing personal against you. Nobody was talking about Vergil Ortiz fighting Boots when Vergil Ortiz won his last fight. I'm just, these are two facts that we could all agree on. Okay, now that we established that, right? Do you know why people talking about Boots ducking Vergil Ortiz now? This is why I keep telling y'all stop going by hearsay and verify the information. Because Michael Benson reported on something. The journalist Michael Benson. And what did he report on, y'all? He reported on something that Eric Gomez said on Dan Raphael's podcast. And basically, what Eric Gomez said, he's the top executive of Golden Boy Promotions, by the way, Oscar De La Hoya's best friend. Eric Gomez said that he reached out on behalf of Golden Boy Promotions. He reached out to Eddie Hearn to see if they can negotiate for some terms for Boots to fight Vergil Ortiz at 154. Right? That's what happened. And ever since Michael Benson put that out there in that article and the tweet, everybody was running with it. Everybody was running with it. Who that? Motorsports? You got your camera on Motorsports? Where you at, big dog? I'll let you on. Where Motorsports at? Let me holler at Motorsports. I don't know if it's camera. Your camera working, Motorsports? So what happened is a report came out by a journalist. And what did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all that 95% of these content creators do? What did I tell y'all? It's just so easy. It's an easy hustle. Reading reports from a real journalist and tweets from journalists, then they pull their camera out and then they give their opinion. And guess what? It's all good. I'm not mad at it. I'm not hating on it. It's cool. Double salute. 2 Cents Boxing. She is a member of the channel, supervisor of the Roll to Take film crew. All I'm saying is, when you read an article, you're a broadcast journalist, you read an article, before you just run off and start putting all this information, how about you get more information first? It's called due diligence. Because you know what's interesting too? All of these people that's saying that Boots ducked Virgil, I haven't seen them get an interview with Boots or Bozy yet. In other words, just ask them. See, y'all media guys, right? Aren't content creators, except for me. I'm not a media guy. Y'all already know that. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a media person. That's not my strength. But I'm just saying is, everybody's publishing this. Why don't you interview Boots or Mr. Bozy and ask them? And then formulate your assessment, and then bam. If you think he ducked after that, fine. Because I'm trying to figure out who said something about 8 million. Thank you, 2 Cents, because I was going to bring it up two points later, but since I saw it, I might as well just bring it. I wanted to bring something else out first, and then I'll bring that up, but I'm already here. Where's this information coming from? It's hearsay. Now, somebody's going to say, well, Eddie Hearn said in one interview that there was no negotiation. And then in another interview, he said it was a phone conversation. You see, that's misinformation. Let me teach you something about the business of boxing. I told you all this by the phone booth. Now I'm going to reiterate it because I want to educate all of you. When negotiations happen in boxing, it's all verbal. Nothing's official until it's on paper. And let me put this out there too for people that don't know this. Most of the times, y'all, you know when people say, I sent the contract, I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to let the secret out the bag. Because some of y'all favorite content creators, they don't know this. So let me tell you. Most of the time, y'all, when contracts get signed, man, they sign the contract the day before the fight. Sometimes the day of the fight. You know how people are like, man, we sent the contract over. We sent Shakur a contract. I kept hearing people say that about Devin Haney. They said, oh, Bill Haney kept saying, we sent them a contract. We sent them an offer. Fights don't, that's not how this thing happened. All this stuff is verbal first, y'all. So just because Eddie Gomez said him and Eddie Hearn had a conversation over the phone, there's nothing in ironclad. So all I'm saying is, how can we say that Boots ducked Vergil Ortiz when all it was is their representation had a conversation? Or possibly 2 conversations. And I have another thing that I want to point out before I get to Boots ducking Ortiz. When Terrence Crawford fought Errol Spence Jr., was he wrong? I'm asking, I need engagement in the chat because I'm trying to, I want to see if we're on the same page or something. Can I engage with somebody in the chat real quick? Or if you watch the replay of the live, in the comment section real quick. Was Terrence Crawford wrong when he fought Errol Spence for all the belts? I'm just asking a question. Can somebody answer me? Because I have some, man, listen, I have a lot of people in my chat that know the business of boxing, that learned it through this channel, and that know the sport of boxing before I even came on YouTube. I got one of the smartest chats in the whole community. Anybody can click the link, by the way. You know that, right? Y'all can click it. Y'all click the link. I'm just asking the question, was Terrence Crawford wrong for agreeing to fight Errol Spence? I'm just asking. All right, somebody said no. We're gonna get to the ducking part in a second. I just want to ask a question. Was Terrence Crawford wrong for fighting Errol Spence for all the titles? All right, that's 2 people. Thank you. People saying no in the chat. Anybody else? Hold on 2 cents. I got you. I'm gonna let you on 2 cents. Give me 1 second. The reason why I asked about Terrence Crawford was he wrong. Thank you, Adam and Kevin. Who else? And Kay. The reason why I asked was Terrence Crawford wrong for fighting Errol Spence, and y'all said no, and you answered correctly, is because Terrence Crawford fought Errol Spence because he wanted to unify and become undisputed in the welterweight division. So if he wasn't wrong, in other words, is when he had 1 belt. Remember, Terrence Crawford only had 1 belt. He had the WBO belt. That's all he had was 1 belt. If he would have moved up to another weight division and not fight Errol Spence, right, to unify something he said he wanted to do, people would have been looking at him like, why you do that? So Terrence Crawford was not wrong, and neither is Boots. In other words, Boots is a 147-pounder. He's a 147-pound welterweight champion. He's the IBF welterweight champion. Boots told y'all from the very beginning, Bozy told y'all from the very beginning that their intention years ago was to unify in the 147-pound welterweight division. Did any of you hear Bozy say that? Did any of you hear Boots say that? I'm talking about 2 years ago. Let's just go back 2 years ago. I can go back longer than that. But we have short-term memory loss in boxing. So let's just go back 2 years ago. When Boots interviewed, when Mr. Bozy interviewed, did you hear them say that their intention, their goal, their objective, and Boots' dream is to unify all the belts at 147? I'm talking about 2 years ago. Did y'all hear that? Okay, then. So if that was the agenda, if that is the goal, then how come when a promoter is calling for Boots to fight their guy at 54 and Boots say, wait a minute, he doesn't have a title at 54, does he? Does Vergil Ortiz hold a belt at 154? No, he does not. So there is no incentive for Boots to fight Vergil Ortiz. That's not ducking. And I also want to point this out because a lot of people don't know about the business of boxing. So let me educate you on this. Boots will make way more money unifying the belts with a Mario Barrios than he would moving up to 54 to fight Vergil Ortiz. Here's one of the indicators I'm going to give you. Neither one of you that said that Boots is ducking Vergil, neither one of you, whoever you are, y'all never ever spoke publicly and demanded that Ortiz fight Boots when he fought in August. In other words, nobody was clamoring for Boots to move up to 54 to fight Ortiz. You know what people kept saying? Oh man, Boots need to move up to 54 and fight Crawford. Remember that? Y'all wanted Boots to move up to fight somebody else at 154. But now all of a sudden, because Boots want to stay in his division and unify all the titles in his division, he ducked Ortiz. Okay, then let me see what Boots said after he fought. We're going to pull the tape up, and I'm going to let 2 cents on right now. 2 cents, you won't. Hold on, 2 cents. Let me give you a proper introduction that you deserve, 2 cents. Hold on 1 second. Let me play this clip, because a lot of times we have short-term memory loss sometimes. So let's play what Bozy said. We're going to play Bozy first, then we're going to play Boots. This is the audio, right? This is what Bozy said. Literally, when I say literally, I mean like literally This is what Bozy said literally 2 days before the fight that Boots had with Karen. Let's hear what Mr. Bozy had to say. And he was on, what's the name of this channel? Boxing News on YouTube. And this is an interview that they conducted with Mr. Bozy, the father and trainer of Boots. This was 2 days before he fought Karen. This is Mr. Bozy when he was asked about Vergil Ortiz 2 days before Boots fought Karen. And I'm going to show the proof so nobody can say I'm just making this up and lying. When I show, how can I show the, hold on, let me see the, here you go, the date. Here it is, November 7th. This is Mr. Bozy right there. Y'all see Mr. Bozy right there on November the 7th. Right? He's asked about Vergil Ortiz. Let's hear what he had to say.
Think about it, as long as you try. He tried to get them fights, offering them all sorts of money. So that's who you want to be with, a guy like that.
Oscar De La Hoya has come out on social media today and suggested a fight between Jaron and Vergil Ortiz Jr. in a Matchroom versus Golden Boy 5 versus 5 event. A fight that you'd be interested in, a fight with Vergil Ortiz up at 154?
They already asked about that, and they said they turned it down.
What, as in Golden Boy turned it down?
Yeah, I don't know if it was Golden Boy, but I don't know who it was. They said they turned it down. We'll fight him in a heartbeat.
So
did y'all hear Mr. Bozy? Mr. Bozy said, we'll fight him in a heartbeat. Let's see what Boots said after he fought Karen when he was at the post-fight press conference. Let's hear what Boots had to say when him and Eddie Hearn was asked about Vergil Ortiz. This is from Fight Hub TV. Put the date up there so people won't say I'm lying. This was like 3 days after that other interview. I said it was 2, but it was 3. This is Boots right there when he was asked about, y'all see Vergil Ortiz's name in the title? All right, cool. This is what they were saying at the post-fight press conference the same night that Boots won against Karen, second fight. They asked him at the post-fight press conference, and don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.
Eddie, Jay with Sportbox TV. Looping back around to Vergil Ortiz versus Boots, what do you think the fight looks like? How does it play out, and in what fashion does it end?
Listen, I think it's a great fight, and Boots knows he's got to be better than tonight against a fighter like Vergil Ortiz, but the training would be different, the mindset would be different, the challenge would be different, and that's where you're going to see the best of a great fighter like Boots. So, I really respect Vergil Ortiz. I love Robert Garcia, Oscar De La Hoya's a plonker, and, we got to make sure, and I'll be saying to Boots, we can't afford to lose that fight. I can't lose to that fucker. No way.
We definitely ain't, though.
If you don't win that fight, I'll never talk to you again.
we ain't doing it, though. We won't do that. Like I said, the better the competition, the better I'm going to be. And all Virgil do is go for it. Y'all know I love pressure fighters.
Did y'all hear what Boots said? He said Vergil Ortiz is a pressure fighter. And y'all know how I do against pressure fighters. All Vergil Ortiz does is come forward. Y'all heard that, right? But Eddie Hearn said, we can't lose. He said, I can't lose to no De La Hoya. And Boots said, we ain't going to do that. So I'm trying to figure out, at what point did Boots say he didn't want to fight Vergil Ortiz? At what point? Because every time he was asked about it, every time his dad was asked about it, and I'm going to pull up another audio when Bozy was asked about it back in 2022, when Ortiz was still at 147. when Ortiz ducked Boots about 2 times. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember when he was at 147? I'm talking about Vergil Ortiz when he was a welterweight. He turned down the fight with Boots. So all of a sudden now Boots is ducking him. This is not about me being from Philly. I'm just trying to figure out, since when does Vergil Ortiz become a headliner and make millions of dollars? When? He doesn't have a title. He's fighting at 154. He got knocked down twice in his last fight. He's on a snack program, and don't let me start with that. I'm going to leave that alone. But Vergil Ortiz is not headlining no big-time cards. Why do you think Eric Gomez got on the phone and called Eddie Hearn? Think about what I'm saying to you. Golden Boy Promotions got on the phone and called another promoter to do a co-promotion. In other words, there's nobody in their stable that can generate the money that Boots can generate for Ortiz fight. So now the promoter got to split the revenue down the middle because they're clamoring for Boots. Why do you think they call for Boots? You ain't hear Vergil Ortiz, he's 54, right? Why he ain't calling for Terrence Crawford in them? Terrence Crawford has a title at 154. How come Eric Gomez didn't call for Terrence Crawford? Doesn't Terrence Crawford have a belt at 54? So what does Vergil Ortiz gain for beating Boots? A guy in a smaller weight class. I'm just asking the question. Don't get mad at me. Terrence Crawford didn't want to fight Virgil at one point, but you know why Terrence didn't want to fight him? Because he didn't need to fight Virgil Ortiz. I mean, not no disrespect to Virgil, but who is Vergil Ortiz? Your favorite content creator wasn't even talking about Vergil Ortiz fighting Boots in August when he won his fight. So that's why nobody else was talking about it. And I'm going to leave it with this, and then 2 cents is here. Boots will make more money fighting Mario Barrios to unify the titles than he would fight Vergil Ortiz at 54 for no title. If Boots gonna move up to 54, he must as well just go fight Terrence Crawford. If Boots gonna move up to 54, he must as well go fight a champion at 54 with the caliber of talent that he has. Especially now he's starting to gain notoriety and star power with the way that his hometown is on his back right now, buying his fights and coming to his fights and paying to come support him. That means something. So I'm just trying to figure out what incentive do we have, to fight a guy like Ortiz who's not even generating no big time revenue. He don't have a belt. He's not generating any big time revenue. And if it was all about, Vergil Ortiz making a name for himself at 54, how come Golden Boy and Eric Gomez didn't call Crawford? Terrence Crawford has a title holder at 54. Why are they calling Boots? And then the people are saying Boots ducked. How? Vergil Ortiz ducked Boots twice when he was a welterweight. Or we would have been had that fight. But, people forgot, and I get that. But what happened is people read the article from Michael Benson, and they got on the YouTube channel, whether they've been in the comments section or produced the content, and now they're saying Boots ducked Vergil Ortiz. How? I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me what incentive do Boots have to fight Ortiz at 54? Because if you tell me that Terrence Crawford was right about unifying the belts by fighting Spence and not moving up when he only had one belt, well, what's the difference with Boots Ennis wanting to stay in his own division? He been telling y'all for years. Bozy been telling y'all for years. Their goal was to do what? Unify all of the titles at 147. There was 2 roadblocks in their way. Errol Spence was one of them, and Terrence Crawford was the second. And guess what? Terrence Crawford is not at 147 anymore, and neither is Errol Spence. Neither two of them are roadblocks anymore. They don't hold the title at 147 anymore. So right now, we have 3 champions besides Boots and the 147-pound division. And I believe Boots can beat all 3 of them. So why not be there, generate more money, build on his star power, capture all 3 belts, all 3 paydays, which he's going to get paid more for fighting those 3 guys. Well, he might make more fighting the Ortiz at 54 than he would Brian Norman, but it's still for all the titles, though. So that's not ducking. And let me tell you all the business of boxing. And I got Kamal Deem and Two Cents Boxing here. Let me tell you all about the business of boxing real quick. Just because 2 promoters or a representative and a promoter get on a phone and have a conversation, that doesn't mean anything. Let me tell you when it means something. It means something when the fighters agree to the terms. I just wanted to point that out there. When the fighters agree to the terms. It's all a conversation that Eric Gomez was having with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn told you at the press conference after Boots fought, yeah, we'll fight him. Bozy told y'all, we'll fight Ortiz in a heartbeat. Boots told y'all, he's a pressure fighter. All he do is come forward. That's my advantage when fighters come forward. We'll fight him. Nobody's ducking Ortiz. But I'm just trying to figure out what purpose does it serve to fight an Ortiz when you're going to get paid less money than you would fighting a Mario Barrios for a belt in a division that you have a dream of basically accomplishing. I don't get it. I'm going to stop my school bus right here because I need more kids to get on the bus before I leave. And until then, we got Two Cents Boxing, Deem, Kamal Oz, and then Band Up. Two Cents Boxing, you hear what's going on YouTube, all over the boxing community, because I believe that people heard it from Eric Gomez on Dan Raphael's podcast, or they read it in an article or a tweet from Michael Benson, and then everybody's running with it because obviously it's gaining more traction and views on YouTube. So everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. I haven't seen anybody give me proof yet. What's your take on this, 2 Cents? Is Boots ducking Vergil Ortiz?
So much to say. First, let me start by saying this, man, Jamarty. Apparently, this is supposed to, he got offered $8 million allegedly for this fight, is what people are saying. But I feel like it's just so many questions, and there was no clarity, and things weren't clear. And somebody came out and said, "Oh, Boots verbally agreed to a fight, and then he ducked it," and it just, to me, turned into this whole smear campaign for Boots. And let me preface this by saying I like Boots. I like to watch him fight, but I'm not a fan of Boots like I am of Tank or Earl Spence. And since I've been coming on here just pointing out things that make common sense, now all of a sudden I'm a Boots fangirl. But I think it's kind of weird how we pick and choose on the perspectives we decide to take when certain fighters want to fight certain fighters. Because how come nobody is saying Ortiz is weight bullying Jaron Ennis by trying to pull him up? How come that's not the narrative? I don't hear that going around. How come nobody is mentioning, well, Boots tried to fight him at 47. He should have fought him then. I don't, like, nobody is saying nothing about that narrative. And how many people have ducked Boots, and how long has Boots been getting ducked? Not one of those people has them turning down a fight with Boots been such a quote unquote detriment to his career. Like, people are acting like because Boots ducked Ortiz, let's say Boots did duck Ortiz, so what? He wants to stay at 47 and continue doing what he said he wanted to do, which was to unify or become undisputed. I don't understand what the problem is. And you hear Eddie Hearn saying they called a man basically trying to make him hurry up and make a rush decision on making the fight. And Manager Marty, maybe you can put some more insight on this, because I just seen the Riyadh season card and I see that Ortiz is fighting Madrimov. So how did that fight get done so quickly? Just yesterday, Boots ducked him. Now all of a sudden he on the card fighting Madrimov. Like how is that even going any type of way? And I think that People just didn't get the facts. All they heard was Boots said he didn't want to fight Ortiz, and now all of a sudden he was ducking. I've been going around these panels and asking, can anybody give me 2 or 3 reasons why Boots would duck Ortiz? Like, for what? Like, why? People saying, oh, he don't believe in himself. He a hype job. He not that good. We're talking about a fighter that didn't lose a round in 29 fights. So, I mean, we could throw that hype job out the window. We could throw the he scared to fight him out the window. And then we also have to look at Oscar and how he handled his fighters. Why is it that Oscar all of a sudden now wants to make the fight with Boots, but he was unwilling to make it before? I just think it's a weird situation. I think it's a lot of misinformation. And I think that there's a desire or a need to want to smear Boots Ennis for whatever reason. The man barely talk, he barely tweet, he barely say or do anything. And so now all of a sudden he decided not to take a fight. He need to do a press conference. He need to come out and explain why. He need to explain himself. I don't think he needs to do any of that. If Boots don't say nothing else about it, I wouldn't even have a problem with it. Because we don't even know how real the offer was. Did Vergil Ortiz accept the fight? Did he say for sure he was going to fight him? We don't even know any of that yet. So I just think they just want to, for whatever reason, try to say something negative and bad about Boots. I don't know why. So that's just my 2 cents. I don't think he does. I think they tried to bully him and rush him to make a decision, and he doesn't want to make a rush decision in fear of possibly losing his belt, even though people think, oh, he can move up and fight. He just did his mandatory. But you never know. These sanctioning bodies make whatever rules up and do whatever they want. So you definitely want to verify and clear and have a plan before you just drop everything, all your leverage, and move to another division and fight a fight for what, an interim belt, if he even has that. But that's just my 2 cents about the situation. It's just odd. Like, it's just selective outrage and an overreaction, in my opinion.
I appreciate you. Hold on, Deem. I appreciate you 2 cents, and you're absolutely correct. And that was basically the foundation I was laying from the very beginning of this broadcast. It is an overreaction, and what it is very simple. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya and them, and I just said this, and I'll say it again for the new audience. They don't have anybody else for Ortiz to fight. I mean, let's keep it real. Who else are they going to fight to generate any kind of revenue for Ortiz? I mean, everybody that's criticizing Boots now, saying that he ducked, and I'm including fans of boxing and content creators alike, none of them were clamoring for this fight after Vergil Ortiz won. You know what we were talking about in August when Vergil Ortiz won his fight, which was a controversial decision? We were talking about Terrence Crawford versus Madrimov at 154. Nobody was talking about Vergil Ortiz fighting Boots. I can't find nobody. And I wish somebody that's listening right now will send me a content creator in the video that says that they published, a content creator that they published in August when Ortiz won and said, we want to see Ortiz fight Boots. Nobody was talking about that. Let's fast forward to a month after that. Who was we talking about Boots fighting a month after that? Was it Ortiz? No, it wasn't. It was Brian Norman Jr. You see how people get selective with their outrage? Thank you again for that 2 cents. Because in September, we were talking about how Brian Norman Jr. was offered a fight for Boots Ennis. And now all of a sudden now, we're talking about Vergil Ortiz, who's in a different weight class, and you ain't find this information nowhere else. But I pointed it out that 2 out of Vergil Ortiz's last 3 fights, he came in 3 to 4 pounds over the weight limit in the last 8 months. So that goes to show you right there that he is not a natural 154 pounder.
He ain't fought at 54 yet.
Well, one time his last fight, he did fight at, he came in at 153 and 3/4 of a pound. So he honestly, for that only fight, made weight. But guess what happened? He got knocked down twice in that fight, and people still believe he lost. So I'm just trying to figure out what incentive does Boots have to go up to 54 and fight. And you know what people will say? Oh man, it's better competition. But here's the thing. Even if he don't get stripped of his title, Boots is the fighter that have to come back down the weight and defend his title. Come on now. Let's make sense with this. It's not an excuse. Think about what I'm saying. Let's say Boots go up to fight Ortiz. He beat Ortiz at 54. He's got to come all the way back down. We know Boots is big, right? He's got to come all the way back down to 47 to fight natural 47s again. This is not what happens in boxing, where boxers are fluctuating in weight up and naturally anyway with no help. But anyway, naturally fluctuating up and down in weight, up and down in weight. Why does Boots have to put his body under that type of subjection when he's already at 147? He has the title already, and his goal that he's trying to accomplish is to unify all the belts in his division. And I'm going to stop the school bus there. Dean, what's going on, big dog? Talk to us. Did Boots duck Vergil Ortiz? What's your take on it?
Man, I want to say what's up, band up manager Marty. Come on, Oz, 2 cents. Y'all already know.
You know what it is?
I'm about to cook on this. No, he didn't. Because unless people are going to sit up there and say Jaron Ennis is a liar when he's not known to be a liar, he did address this, 2 cent. He came out and said this is all cap. I don't know what y'all talking about. The part that everybody ain't talking about, Boots said in the tweet that people was negotiating behind his back. That we should be talking about that more than anything. If that part is true, that is a problem. That is a problem, and I can kind of see why Eddie might want to be doing that because he got one fight left with Jaron Ennis. Don't leave that out either, y'all. But this is the one thing that can't nobody deny. Why would Jaron Ennis fight Vergil Ortiz in Saudi Arabia to be the co-main? Do y'all see where Vergil Ortiz is slotted on that card? It's not for a championship. Why? I'm sorry, y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
You breaking up, Dean?
Y'all can hear me now? I'm good?
Yeah, you good. You good now.
Why would Jaron Ennis do that? Why would he be the co-main in Saudi Arabia when he's just coming off of 2 headliners in his hometown? Why would he do that? Give me the incentive for that. Don't you think Jaron Ennis versus Vergil Ortiz at the Wells Fargo is a much bigger fight and they both could be the main event? Somebody answer that question in the chat. Why would you go from being the main event fighter twice in your hometown to being the second or third slotted fight on a card behind Dubois and Shakur Stevenson and Kid Austin? Why would he do that? I don't hear none of y'all talking about how Vergil Ortiz ducked the man twice already, and the manager said they needed 5 years to get ready for Jaron Ennis. If that's not a duck, I don't know what is. And somebody provide me the proof, because you know I follow this. I was at the fight, and everybody keeps saying, what happened at the fight and all this? Somebody provide me proof of where Jaron Ennis definitely announced that he's going to 154. I want to see that. Because people want to say Jaron Ennis a duck, but then I thought you can't duck somebody that's not at your weight class, y'all. Be consistent on your views, please. Because again, Manager Marty, they going to love this. 2 cent, they going to love this. Then Gervonta Davis must have been ducking Devin Haney then. And Teofimo Lopez and all of these people, right? It can't be, well, he's at 135. He's not at their weight class. But Boots is in the same exact situation. He's the A-side. And even better yet, I thought Virgil was supposed to be fighting Xander Zayas. Didn't Xander Zayas get on Twitter saying that he got an offer and he accepted it? But they saying he fighting Madrimov. But they offered to fight the Boots. You know what that sounds like to me? A bunch of talk. A bunch of hogwash. That's exactly what it sounds like. So unless y'all want to tell me that Jaron Ennis is a flat-out liar, who's not known to be lying. And then the funniest part, not one of y'all think Vergil Ortiz can beat the man. So then you got to explain to Dean, well, a duck is, you got to give the reason why you think he's ducking. Do you think he's ducking because he's scared? You think he's going to lose to Vergil Ortiz? And then, better yet, y'all, and I'm going to land my plane here. Why would Jaron Ennis fluctuate between weight classes when he does decide? Mind you, Manager Marty, he done fought twice this year already. The rest of these guys haven't. Jaron Ennis is not on the clock to fight. He just fought 3 weeks ago. I was there. Why wouldn't he just wait until it was an opportunity to see if he's going to get these unification fights? That's one. 2, And when he do move up to 154, why not just challenge Bakaram Murtazalia for the title? Go straight to a title shot. What would you do? All these Earthmen in the chat that's saying he's ducking, what would you do? And I'm going to land my plane there, y'all.
Thanks again, Dean. And some of the points that you brought up was basically what I was saying before all of y'all came up, and I appreciate you, man. The thing is, like I always say, it's no point of Boots fluctuating in weight. He goes up to 54. He beat Ortiz, then what? He got to come all the way back down to 40. Why does a champion have to do all of these different things to prove that he's not ducking a guy who ducked him twice in the division that he's still at now? When he's a world champion, there's not another world champion that we can say right now in the YouTube boxing community that we expected to do that. Because when Terrence Crawford was at 47, I mean, I didn't hear not one, and I was only on YouTube for only 2 years. But since I've been here, I haven't heard one content creator yet say, I know you like Crawford band up, but I haven't heard nobody on YouTube yet say, you know what Crawford should do? He should, instead of fighting Errol Spence to unify, he should move up in weight and fight somebody at 54, 60, and 68. And if somebody do say, well, I'm the one that said that he should fight Charlo. Whoever said that, y'all wasn't saying Crawford should fight Charlo without a belt? Okay, then. So what I'm basically saying is this. Why would the champion have to make all these adjustments to fight a guy who's not even generating no revenue that's going to make it worth his while, or even have a title at 54? It just doesn't make any sense. But what happens is, and we see this time and time again, people read articles from journalists, and then they start reacting to it, and then everybody listens to that same message, and then people start making videos, and of course, at this point, it becomes a phenomenon, and nobody step back and do their due diligence. The bottom line is this. De La Hoya do not have any options for Vergil Ortiz at 54. And everybody that's saying that Boots duck Ortiz know good and well that Ortiz cannot beat no Boots. Everybody knows that. So my thing is, at this point, why are we talking about Boots fighting Ortiz when Boots is trying to unify in his division? That's what we should be focusing on. Double salute to my brother. He's in the chat. He's always supporting me personally, and even on the broadcast with the super chat. My guys, that's my brother, y'all. My man representing Florida. My guy Lump in the super chat. Thanks for your support and contribution to the channel, Lump. Lump says, what up to the best boxing podcast on YouTube? And I'm going to tell y'all right now, Lump is not saying that just so everybody can say, oh, Lump is a good guy, and he is a good guy. He's saying that because he genuinely mean that, and I salute my brother Lump. Thank you for that, man. Come on, Oz. What's going on, brother? Haven't seen you in a while. Always a pleasure. What's your take on this Boots ducking?
Hey, what's
Virgil
up?
Ortiz?
Sure. A pleasure to be on with this great panel. You know, a lot of wisdom was shared by all of the panelists thus far. Manager Marty, of course, the host, 2 Cents, and then Dean. But we need to go back to really look at this situation. We need to go back to some decisions that were made about a year ago. After Terrence Crawford beat Errol Spence, he was inactive. He was holding those titles hostage at 147. And the IBF and Daryl Peoples did the right thing and stripped his ass because he had no intention of fighting Boots. And I was one of the only people on YouTube, either a commentator or someone who comes on these shows, saying that the other sanctioning bodies needed to strip Crawford as well because he had no intention of defending those belts at 147. So Boots, who once I guess Cameron Duncan died and Showtime got out of boxing, he had some kind of relationship with Steven Espinoza, and he was going to go with Prime, Amazon Prime, where PBC was going to be at. But he made the decision, and I said this at the time, that I thought was a short-term decision in getting more activity and more fights, and I questioned who he would fight with Eddie Hearn rather than just staying put. Because what was happening, Crawford was holding the WBC, the WBA, and the WBO belts hostage, and Daryl Peoples was the only one who did the right thing in stripping them of the IBF. And I said, they're not going to make Stanionis or Barrios with Boots right now because those aren't true unifications. So we weren't going to get those fights. I said we have to wait until Crawford is forced to drop those other belts or get stripped of those other belts until we can get Boots versus Stanionis or Boots versus Barrios. And so I think that Eddie Hearn called Boots up and he offered him more money, more activity. And I think that he and Bozy chose a short-term decision because all they had to do was wait until things came to a head with the PBC side of things, and then you would have had 3 of the 4 titles. We know the WBO, is whatever Bob orders, the Warren Boxing Organization. They hate the PBC. They hate everything about Al Heyman. They love Top Rank. That's their guy. If Top Rank doesn't have somebody in a division to hold their title, they'll create somebody out of a lab, a Top Rank fighter to hold the WBO belt. We know how corrupt Paco Vericel and that family is down in Puerto Rico. They are the most corrupt and biased boxing organization there. So Boots could have, in my view, he should have just stayed pat with the PBC, and then eventually these fights, even though he wasn't with PBC, was still on that side of the street, so to speak. Those fights would have been made. I definitely don't think that Boots ducked Vergil Ortiz. I think this was all just a clout chase by Vergil Ortiz's side, by mainly probably Oscar De La Hoya and Eric Gomez and Golden Boy to try to use Jaron Boots' aim to hype up Vergil Ortiz. And some of the same thoughts get released here that I just got to follow up on. Number one, Vergil Ortiz, y'all forgot that he held Staniotis' career up, if right or wrong, for 18 months. He had kept that fight, got canceled once because Stanionis had an emergency appendectomy. That no one can get out of that. I mean, it's life or death there. But the other 3 times it was canceled on Vergil Ortiz's side, and Stanionis couldn't do anything. And he was tied into that. And we knew that Vergil Ortiz was basically a weight bully at 147. He really should have been at 154. I don't know if he's even made the 154-pound limit other than the Boacek fight. And he really probably should be at 160 at middleweight. And so it's clear to me that there is a lot of bias and corruption. And I'm not even going to call these people, Manager Marty, journalists, because a lot of these people in corporate media are commentators that are paid, that are on the payroll of these promoters, whether it be Bob Arum, whether it be Oscar De La Hoya, whether it be Eddie Hearn. And then they all take turns crapping on the PBC and anything that Al Heyman does. So these people aren't journalists. These people are propagandists, like a communist Politburo or something like that. So no, Boots did not duck, but I do think that that we have to look at the beginning of the situation and say the other sanctioning bodies besides Daryl Peoples and the IBF, let Crawford hold up the division, let him retard the development of the division for far too long. And then instead of Boots having some patience and just staying with Steven Espinoza, he did sign with Eddie Hearn, and he got a rematch with Karen, which no one wanted to see. And then he got David Avocado, which we also didn't want to see. But Boots should not feel compelled to drop his title. I heard he has one more fight with Eddie Hearn. He could finish that and then go back to Amazon Prime and then get those unifications. And if Brian Norman's side still wants to joke around and outprice themselves, then you don't make the same mistake that Errol Spence did with Terrence Crawford. You move on when these guys are playing games. You go up to 154. All of his goals are still ahead of him, and he's ready to go. And with that, I'll land my plane.
Oh, man, interesting points, Kamal Oz. I really appreciate you, big dog. And I'll comment on the last thing that you said, not making the same mistake that Errol Spence made with Terrence Crawford. And people have been saying, what did Boots say after he fought Karen? Remember, I was there sitting ringside, and Dean was there as well in Philly when Boots fought Karen, and I was there. And Boots did not say that he was moving up 154 in his next fight just because he's just going to move up. There was a caveat to that, and people are not publicizing it. And what he said was, if the fights that I can't get to unify the titles at welterweight, then I have no choice but to move up to 154. So I want that to be, publicized, that it wasn't just him saying that I'm just going to move up. No, he's basically saying, hey, maybe it's time for me to move up. My performance didn't reach the level that I wanted it to reach because I did certain things that was, kind of off. I had an off night at the office. I need to work on some things and really listen to my dad. But their goal that they're trying to accomplish have already been set in stone before the IBF stripped Terrence Crawford. And that is to unify all the belts at 147 pounds. And thank you, Kamal, and if those other world champions don't want to compete against Boots, then of course he have no choice but to not chase those guys, but to just go ahead and move up. Band Up, you're here.
Hey,
Always a
Manager
pleasure.
Marty,
Yes.
go on your point before Band Up go, because right off of what you said, Mario Barrios and Brian Norman Sr. has said that they ready to fight Boots all of a sudden. Don't leave that part out too. So people saying, well, Dean, he not going to get the fights. How you know that? Because Mario Barrios, people said that they'll fight him. And then Brian Norman Sr., remember he came out saying Boots got exposed. I just had to see it first, and we'll fight him. So are we going to hold them to what they said? Or just keep talking about what Boots said and then don't quote the man all the way? I just wanted to put that back out there too.
Good point. Good point. Good point. Hey, Band Up, it's on you, big dog. Did Jaron Boots Ennis duck Vergil Ortiz? What's your take on it?
In my opinion, I'm gonna say no. And you know what I mean, we just gotta go with I'm more of a person to go off of what the fighter say himself than to go off of what other people say. And Boots said like I think it was Dean that said it. Boots said there was somebody negotiating on his behalf. So we gotta see what's up with that. Another thing, I was real curious to see what Bozy said on the instant situation as well. To Manager Marty, you keep saying unify. Crawford fought for undisputed. He was fighting Errol for undisputed. He was trying to get Errol for undisputed. He was trying to get Errol before Errol went to what's his name? Jordanis Ugas. You know what I'm saying? Crawford was trying to get Errol for a while.
No, he was not. No, he wasn't.
What?
Stop.
Cut it out.
Stop it, Band
Cut
Up.
it out.
Stop it.
Cut it out. Crawford been calling for that man. Crawford wanted that.
Cap.
That fight
That's
was
cap,
brewing
man.
for 5
But you
years.
know that's cap. He dragged the fight out a whole other 18 months after it was trying to be made. We talking about Boots. We talking about Boots right now.
No, and I've had this conversation with Marty too. No, but you guys want to keep talking about overstepping shit that we talking about with Boots. Let's not skip shit we said with Crawford. Crawford said he wanted to fight that year in December. Earl said he wasn't ready for the next year. That's why he skipped him the first time. Went to be okay. Let's keep it a
Let's
stack.
talk about how Crawford ducked Boots and Virgil. He done ducked both the people we talking about.
So how did he duck Boots? Please explain.
Didn't he get stripped because he wouldn't fight him?
Was he not in negotiations with Errol Spence still? Trying to figure out if Errol Spence was trying to go for rematch. Was he not in negotiations still?
In the negotiations, Band Up, they made Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence well aware that directly after this fight, they got to go directly into negotiations with Jaron Ennis. That's a fact. They both knew the winner of that fight would have to fight Jaron Ennis next. They both knew that and agreed to it. Just to what
did Bud and Errol say? They both agreed to go to a rematch, right? After this, whoever win, right?
No, they
didn't agree.
But it ain't got nothing to do with Jaron Ennis, though. Because
how does
Bud,
it not?
Hold on, Band Up. Because Bud said that he'll rematch Errol Spence at 147. So if you're gonna go off of everything the man say, go off of everything he said. And then
let me ask you a question.
Switched it up later, talking about Errol Spence got to put in this paperwork and all of this extra stuff.
Yeah, Earl was playing around, not Bud. Talking about his eye, he had to get it. He had to get his eye surgery, but Errol said he knew he had to get his eye surgery before the fight. That's why Crawford was hitting him with so many shots. So I'm not hearing none of that shit. Errol was running around. That's the reason.
He said, "I'm not fighting Errol Spence at 147. I mean, unless it's at 147." But then he was mandated to fight Jaron Ennis and then use 154 as an excuse. He used 147 as an excuse to not rematch Errol, but then used 154 as an excuse to not do his mandatory with Jaron Ennis.
Whoa, let me find out. You can fight. You can have undisputed all the belts and fight at 54 and still be undisputed after that fight.
How could he have been undisputed at 54?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. So why the hell do you think he wanted to fight Errol at 47?
I ain't talking about what we think. I'm talking about what the man said. He said, I'll only fight Errol Spence at 147. So that means that he was willing to fight at 147 still. And then, and then he was mandated to fight Jaron Ennis and then was using, well, I'm not fighting at 147. Well, then that mean you was lying about Earl. You never had intentions on doing a rematch with Earl.
If Bud tell you the only person he's fighting at 147 is Earl from the jump, then what the hell are you surprised for?
Then why didn't he then band up? Then you agree with us that he should have dropped this belt immediately because he knew he wasn't still fighting at 147, but he held it up.
Hey, hold
Jaron
on,
Ennis could have already got that title. He could have
you
already
said,
unified.
hold up. He could have dropped his belt, but he could have dropped them belts. But at the same time, he was trying to get
They
that status.
stripped him, band up. He didn't even do it by himself. He got stripped. He was going to hold on to it.
Why was he holding on to it? Who was he trying to talk to? Who was he trying to talk to? Not who was trying to talk to him. Who was Bud trying to talk to?
Band up, you going around the board, bro.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm not going around. I'm not going around. I'm not going around.
Nobody want to talk about Bud right now, bro. We talking about Boots. Like, we had this conversation because
y'all said Bud name was capping on that shit with Bud. Talking about some, you talking about?
I literally just proved he was capping.
No, it was undisputed.
He literally just.
All right,
so band up.
So let me clarify something.
We don't got to talk about Bud. We can talk about the Boots situation. We can do that. But don't be telling me coming. I'm not gonna let that Bud shit slide. I don't care who you pull that with. Not with Band Up.
Let me clarify something, Band Up. I did say unify. I said he wanted to unify, but I also say this, and I said unify meaning in totality. But I also said the word undisputed. You probably didn't hear me, but I can roll the tape on myself. I said the word undisputed when I was talking about Crawford. I did say unify, meaning his intentions, and this is before Spence even had all the belts. The bottom line is we know that Terrence Crawford did not want to fight Boots. We get that. We're here now, and Boots versus Ortiz, which was never official in the first place, and people are saying that there was a contract sent to Boots, and there is no record of that. There is no evidence of that, nor was a contract sent to Boots. So I don't know. I saw somebody in the chat said that. That's hearsay, and that's definitely not true. We have somebody, to my understanding, it might be the first time being on the panel. K, the boxing realist. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's good?
What's going on, man? We're glad that you're here, man. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah. What's good, man? My thing with this Boost thing, right, is like he just fought the ball Karen, right? So after he fight Karen, you know, he didn't perform the way that everybody expected. Maybe it was because he was home. He had a lot of pressure. I'm not making no excuses, right? But at the end of the day, it's like everybody say, oh, he didn't look good, you know, but now he finally fought somebody that came to fight, right? So we was all saying, well, not me, but, you know, you always hear people talk about, oh, he ain't fought nobody and his chin ain't been tested and all that. Well, it got tested that fight. You know, everything you want to see, you know, good or bad, was exposed, right? As they say. It was a step up in competition. Like I said, nobody has seen Karen fight to call Karen a bum. You can't, he didn't fight Boots. I mean, he didn't fight Bud. He ain't fought Spence. He ain't fought nobody that anybody has ever seen him fight over here. That was his first time, you know, really fighting, because when he came the first time, he ran. He didn't fight. So we can't compare him fighting against nobody, because I believe you put Karen against a lot of them dudes at 147, he knocks a lot of them out. Or he'll get the dub, something. So if the call Boots, you know, trash, and oh, he had a bad performance, he might not have performed to your expectations, but what's the expectation when you fighting a fighter that nobody's ever seen fight before? So this is where I'm saying it seemed like because he didn't knock him out, you ain't gonna knock everybody out. Bull came, you know what I'm saying? As somebody said, I ain't gonna say who said it, his performance looked enhanced, but you know what I'm saying? What it is.
Who said what they say to boxing realists?
They said that I heard somebody say that Karen just his performance, you know, from the first fight looked enhanced in the second fight.
Oh,
you know,
I said that. Oh, I'm the author.
I know who said it.
I'm the author of them words.
Yeah, so, but like I said, you can't compare that fight because we didn't see him fight anybody. Because I hear people saying, oh, he fought a bum. He fought a bum. How you gonna call him a bum when you ain't seen him fight nobody?
Yeah, he ain't no bum. He a good fighter, man.
Yeah, he fought. That's what I'm saying. So you can't say, oh, he fought a trash dude. He couldn't get him out of there. Well, I ain't seen him fight nobody else, and I ain't seen nobody else get him out of there. Because like I said, in my opinion, he fight a lot of these dudes at 147. He's gonna get the dub.
I agree.
Whether he knock him out or the decision.
Totally agree with you.
In my opinion. So you know so since you know people seen that performance from Boots, now everybody got something to say. Oh, he trash. He this, that, and the third. But this the same guy he's not new on the scene. So I hate when people try to act like Boots just popped up on the scene. His name been ringing. People been ducking him. You know what I mean? There's clips of Floyd even talk about how good this bull is. Like, you're not going to knock everybody out, and sometimes you're not going to perform, you know, to your best of your ability. Who knows what was going on? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, to me, in my opinion, maybe he need to fight elsewhere sometimes. Maybe fighting home sometimes puts a little bit too much pressure on him. I don't know.
It does. It does.
You know what I'm saying? So my thing is this, man. That Vergil Ortiz thing, he never ducked that ball, man. That ball ducked Boots 2 times at 147, man. Like, stop playing. Like, y'all act like y'all forget about this stuff. Y'all pick and choose what y'all want to remember. Everybody got amnesia. So y'all forgot when he ducked Boots, right? Mm-hmm. His trainer on record talking crazy, but every time the Boots fight come up, they what he said, 48 months? Something like that. He need like 48 months to get ready for him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4 years to get ready for him. But, you know, this boy's at 154 now. He looked like trash to me. He lost the last fight. He don't want no smoke. He can't beat Boots, man. So y'all need to stop that bullshit at the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, he ain't ducked nothing. And that narrative came out because somebody talking about he got a contract. His side, they signed some contract and sent it back, and Boots never signed. That was the cat. That's where this duck thing came from, and that was inaccurate. That was bullshit. So if you want to talk about it, man.
I appreciate that, and you're right. And there was no contract sent at all. And let's just be clear on something. Vergil Ortiz fighting Boots. Vergil Ortiz will not be the A side in that
not
fight.
At all.
And we all know that. So if Vergil Ortiz would be the B side, how he going to send, or how his team going to send Eddie Hearn and them anything? When Eddie Hearn and them is the A side, and that's why they're able to have the leverage to send contracts out and make phone calls to people, just like Eddie Hearn just made a phone call on behalf of Shakur Stevenson for Kid Austin, just like Eddie Hearn on behalf of Jaron Ennis called Brian Norman Jr. You see, so we know that Vergil Ortiz is not an A-side fighter when we talk about a guy like Boots. So what it is this is how you know it's a contradiction and it's a hypocrisy. You had content creators, and I'm not criticizing nobody, we just keeping it 100. We had content creators who did videos after Boots' performance, and you know what 95% of the ones I heard say, this is not a shot at nobody, I'm just keeping it 100. I heard them say Boots did not live up to the expectation in his performance with Karen. He had a bad night at the office. They said, oh man, his performance was a little bit weak. He could have done better. Well, if you're a content creator or if you're a fan of boxing and you say that Boots' performance was a little off and he didn't meet expectation levels, and if you say that he had a bad night at the office, that means you expected Boots to live up to the talent that you believe he has. And if you believe Boots have that talent, then equally you are saying that he can beat Vergil Ortiz. So what is he ducking him for when you know he can beat him?
At the same time, yo, Manager Marty,
that's what don't make sense.
It's not only the expectation. It's not only the expectation that we had. Bozy said before the fight, Karen was going to sleep if he fights. If he engages, he going to sleep.
Well, he did get knocked down.
So
then he didn't go to sleep. So
but he didn't go to sleep.
I don't like when y'all say that, because Terrence Crawford went at 154 and he looked at much worse than Jaron Ennis did. That fight was much closer with Madrimov than Karen and Boots was. And he didn't drop Madrimov.
Madrimov did not engage.
That's because Madrimov is such a great fighter. He has a great amateur pedigree. He was a great. He was better than everybody thought he was going to be. That is what I'm saying. We pick and choose what narratives we want to use for which fighter.
But 2 cents, Karen got a great amateur background and has more experience than Madrimov.
Exactly.
The thing about, and the one thing, the caveat I would say about Bud, they want to. They don't want to talk about Bud. No. The thing about it is you know what I mean. This is the first fighter that in 10 years that went the full distance with Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford's known for knocking people out, so of course it's gonna look different when he don't knock somebody out.
You said Terrence Crawford known for what?
For cherry picking.
Hold on. All right, let me hold on. Cause you got to get your vernacular straight when you're talking to Marty. Terrence Crawford is known for TKOing and knocking people out. That's what I'm gonna say. TKOing and knocking people out.
Hold on, how many people Terrence Crawford knocked out?
I mean, I know that boy amnesia and went to sleep.
Ebenezer. Can you
With
I
the
know
turn
you
your
went to
mustard
camera?
sleep.
gloves?
Hold on, hold on,
I
With
hold
the
know,
on.
I know,
mustard
I know.
gloves?
Hold up,
Hold
and
on,
I know,
hold on, hold on.
And I know Sean Porter's dad threw in that towel.
I know, but hold on. You said he knocked out David Eason. David Ebenezer, he knocked him out.
Yeah,
You got your, can you turn your camera on?
Marty, I'm smoking right now.
All right, you had something in your hand. Show the people what you had in your hand, brother. Show them what you had in your hand. Don't hide it. Don't hide it now. Because Terrence Crawford was on this when he knocked that guy. Show the people what you had in your hand, brother.
I gotta quit. Your promo code still work?
It don't. Show it to the people. Turn it around so they can see. There it is. There that is. That's what he was on. He was doing that. That's what he was on. And other things. Because he said he used other things.
You
That's
walked
what he
into that
said.
one banged up.
I
What's
did walk
going
into
on, Mr. Greg?
I just
Greg,
wanted to
what's
come.
happening?
I know I'm late to the game today. I just
Greg,
wanted to say, hey,
It's all good, man.
you know,
Man, they
What's
you
going
still
walked
on,
into
Mr.
that
Greg?
one banged up. Hey, two cents, what's good? What's up, Dean? Who
Mr.
else is
Greg,
on
hope
here?
you're doing amazing, my guy.
Yeah, I hope y'all are doing well too, man. I know I missed everything. You was talking about Boots and Ortiz.
They saying right, so they saying Boots duck Ortiz. I made the references that Ortiz is not a headliner. He doesn't have a belt at 154. He came in 2 out of his last 3 times at 154 over the weight limit, so we know he's way bigger than 154. And at the same time, he's the B side. And also, with that being said, Jaron Boots Ennis and his dad for the last 3 or 4 years have been telling people what their agenda was in a 147-pound division, and that's to become undisputed. They had 2 roadblocks in their way at the time, Terrence Crawford being one as a WBO champ, and of course the other 3 belts was held by Errol Spence. Now that those 2 guys are not in Boots' way as roadblocks, because both of those guys, at least one of them, compete and is a champion at 154, they're not at 147. So right now the picking is really up and right for Boots to take over the division, because I don't think neither 3 of the other champions, with respect to them, can beat Boots. But he wants to stay at 147. The people are saying he's ducking Ortiz, even though we know Ortiz ducked him twice several years ago at 147. Now the people are saying that Boots ducked Ortiz because there was a conversation between Golden Boy and Eric Gomez from Golden Boy and Eddie Hearn for that fight. And Boots basically said, look, there's no incentive for me to go up there and fight the guy. I'll stay at 147 and see if I can just accomplish my goal to unify the titles. What's your take on that, Mr. Greg?
Wasn't that his goal in the first place, to be undisputed at 147?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's no advantage to me from what I'm seeing of jumping up to 154 and then got to come back down to 147 to complete what you're doing. There's no advantage. This is the ongoing soap opera that boxing has become. If you don't do this, you're ducking that. You don't do this, it's just an ongoing soap opera. And if Boots is at 147, he has one of the belts now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So there's 3 others.
Yeah.
Campaign there. Do what you set out to do, because now the 2 guys that would have, you could have done something with, have moved to 154, and they not really, only one has fought actually at 154 in the first place.
Yeah.
So you don't need to jump into that quagmire. Stay where you are, get the work in, stop listening to whoever's doing all of this about come up to 154. You haven't even finished your work at 147 yet. So I hope that he doesn't get himself dragged into that mess. It's going to be bad and hard enough to deal with, I guess, whoever got the belts at 147 and what their agenda is, whether they're going to try to milk their belts for a while before they start doing unification fights. So that's going to really happen. That's kind of how I'm seeing it just coming on. I mean, I've looked here, I looked there.
Yeah.
But all this you ducking, I'm so sick of hearing people claiming that, and still nobody's fighting yet.
Yeah.
Nobody's fighting yet, and nobody. So I wish that this would, clear up rather quickly, and so we can start seeing fights again, as opposed to talking about all the back and forth and the talking. I wanted to say too. I'll be very quick. I saw your podcast where y'all were talking about the gentleman Schofield and what he did to his girlfriend and so forth. And I heard what Deem had to say and the other gentleman uh, who was on as well, but it was y'all had already been on. Let me just say that older man or the father still hasn't paid a price for what he did. You know what I mean? Because what Deem said, you got to take accountability. Well, I from what I've heard, what was being said and what he has said, I don't see where he ever took accountability in the first place. And I don't think nothing that ever happened because what we really saw was a crime, but it didn't go there, right? But that's what it was. If he had apologized, I think Deem said the girl's family, the lady's family, probably had never even seen the video before. And if they did, he better hope that she don't have brothers and uncles and so forth like I got on my side of the table, because we be still feeling like this just happened yesterday. So I think, and I agree 100% with you, Dean, that he got to take accountability. He got to do something to show that he's still not in that same mindset where, you know, anybody who wants to do business with Kid Austin got to talk to him, and they might say, well, is he going to flick off on me? You know, like he's done before. You know, you got to think about that. When
Mr. Greg, he how you know he's still in that mindset? Because he was bragging to Greg Hackett about him doing a prison stint about clapping somebody up. And he threatened that young woman in the same way.
Yeah, that's when you hear guys saying, you know, I'm sorry, you know, I'm a different person. You got to ask, what did you do to make yourself different? Did you go see some therapists? Who? How long did you go? Are you still in therapy? All that talking and still threatening you and threatening Dean with a lawsuit about something that y'all saw him do because it was videotaped. So I just wanted to get that out the way. I know that's not the subject right now, but I just wanted to say, yeah, I 100% agree. This has got to be addressed, and it probably will be addressed because it came back up. Y'all didn't bring it up. The tape got put out there, and then he decided to, you know, claim he's going to come at y'all. So if he come at y'all, y'all know what you need to do to him, you know, legally. You know.
Well, the thing about it is, Mr. Greg, he threatened a woman, and he threatened to blow her head off because she said something that he didn't agree with or that he didn't like. But when us as grown men said something to him that he didn't like or agree with, he gonna threaten us with the lawsuit. The gangster threatened with the what's up with these gangsters keep threatening with lawsuits? All these big time street guys.
It has no place in boxing, as you said before, but it seems to be a trend where you supposed to be this type of guy, but now you're trying to talk about lawsuits as opposed to moving in silence, as I came up with, and you take care of business that way. But now they want to do this. If they're not doing that, they snitching. You know, that's the atmosphere that's out there now. And these, unfortunately, they're trying to drag this into the world of boxing. But I'll say this to you, Deem, and 2 Cents. This is another indication that when y'all come online and talk what you're talking about, that you are being watched, that you're making a little bit of a difference, you see, because you're just talking about what you see and what's out there, but it's striking a chord because you got people talking about suing you. You see what I'm saying? So people watching you all, and y'all are making a difference in the things that you say, the things you put out. So continue to do that. I'll just
yes, sir, Mr. Barrett. I promise you I will. I ain't scared of these chumps out here. I'm gonna always speak on it, be 10 toes down. Manager Marty that met me in real life, like I said, man. And then Mr. Greg, and just to finish up on that, when the man came out and made a video claiming that he was taking accountability, he lied in that, talking about it happened 2 years ago. But then in the video, he said, you did this on March, whatever, 2022. 2 years ago, you was my girl. Don't that mean that that has to be in the future then? Because this happened after March 2022, and then you said that was 2 years ago, so maybe my math is off. So 2 years after March 2022, can somebody in the chat please tell me what date would that be?
Well, if he's smart, he would shut up.
Exactly.
You know, because like I said, we did see a crime, and somebody that could be a prosecutor in the office who like, I'm not going for this. And maybe whoever released the tape, that might have been what they were actually trying to do, as opposed to messing up Kid Austin's brand. They might have been, listen, he needs to be dealt with legally as well, since he's trying to sue everybody for talking about what we saw. Could be that. So anyway, you know, that's just my kind of take. I just want to get that in because I didn't get a chance to talk to y'all. How you doing, Lucky?
Hey, Mr. Greg, I'm good. How you doing, man?
All right. I hope everybody's Thanksgiving was great as well.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Big Lucky. Hold on, Luck. The realist, band up in the boxing realist. Can y'all mute your phone?
Yeah, that's my fault. My fault.
All right, Lucky. What's up, big dog?
What's up, bro?
That's my guy right there. Salute to my guy, Lucky, man. That's the brother right there. What's going on, man? What's your take on? I don't know if you want to talk about what Greg was talking about with the guy. They call him Crown Jewel Boxing, called him Floyd Diddy Schofield Sr. I don't know if you want to talk about him or Boots ducking Ortiz, but either way, the floor is yours, my brother.
No, I wanted to talk about Boots because I seen you know, I was listening, man. I heard y'all saying that, you know, Terrence Crawford ducked. And y'all know I'm not a fan of Terrence Crawford. But it seemed like it was the same thing that Terrence Crawford said when he said that Boots had nothing to offer. That's the same thing Boots was saying about Ortiz. So is it safe to say that Terrence wasn't ducking?
Yeah, I never said he ducked Ortiz. I mean, I really didn't care about that fight anyway. So
2 Cents said that. That's where 2 Cents flat out said that. That's where he got that.
I'll say this, Lucky. It's the same thing that Terrence Crawford fans keep saying that Canelo doing. Canelo said he don't offer nothing, but it was wrong when Canelo was saying it. So we got to be consistent. But every Terrence Crawford fan in the world was they was jumping around. We want Canelo being scary. So then we can't use that same example, vice versa, because he's 2 weight classes above.
It's not the same thing because Terrence wanted to unify the titles, and that's the same excuse that Boots got right now.
No, Lucky, I'm saying that you used an example of people saying that, well, Boots saying Virgil don't got nothing to offer. Well, that's what Terrence said about Boots. But then I gotta say, but then I gotta show the hypocrisy in Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford was kept clamoring to get a Canelo fight, and Canelo was saying the same thing to him, which is really true because he's 2 weight classes down, not 1, not 2 weight classes down.
But that's the face of boxing.
It doesn't matter if it's the face of boxing or not. If you think that Canelo should fight you, then you can't get mad at people thinking that that Boots should fight you too. You can't have it both ways.
I do understand that.
You cannot have it both ways.
So
hey, my phone finna die. Salute, Lucky. I'm gonna try to tap in when my phone charged. Salute, Manager Marty. Salute, Dean. Salute, Greg. Salute, 100K. You know what I mean?
Salute, Band
This
Up.
is fire, bro.
Right,
this is going down.
easy, bro.
This is going down, man.
All right, Band Up. I thought you had a new phone, by the way, man.
No, I do. No, I'm fresh. Oh, my phone's fresh. It's at 5%. It's at 5%.
All right.
Yeah,
you was gonna give Lucky some more ammunition.
Nah, man, bro, I just came from work, bro. Yeah, I just came from work, bro. Yeah, you know what I mean. So, so yeah, my phone's dying right now.
All right, bro.
All right, Brody.
Salute, big dog.
Yep. Salute.
It's still on you, Luck. You got the floor, big dog.
No. That was just it. I felt like it was the same thing. Like I just felt like, you know, Boots want to unify the titles. That's his reason for not fighting Ortiz. At the time, Terrence wanted to unify the titles with Earl. And that was his reason for not accepting the fight with Boots.
Yes.
And, you know, throughout the whole time, we were saying, you know, Terrence is ducking. But it's the same excuse.
This is what I said, Lucky. I don't know if you remember this. I said, if I was managing Terrence Crawford and he was my client, I wouldn't recommend him fighting Boots anyway. That's what I said. I recommended that if Terrence Crawford was my client and he had all 4 belts like he did, vacate those titles and move up or retire. And the reason why I say it is because Boots was a young, hungry lion. And on top of that, Crawford already cemented his legacy. There's no point in him fighting any of the big pit bulls who are young in this weight class that he claims that he can't make no more anyway. And then on top of that, which is most importantly than all, 12% of his purse, because it's 3% times 4, which is all the 4 major titles that he was holding, he wouldn't have to worry about extracting 12% of his purse to these sanctioning bodies to defend the title against a young, hungry lion who was a high risk for him. That he didn't feel like it was enough reward. So vacate all the titles, either retire, move up to 54 and win 1 title, and it's over. That's what I recommended him to do, because there's no point in him fighting Boots. And at that time, a lot of people can't mess with Boots, seriously. And there's no point of a guy who's accomplished as Terrence Crawford to go down and fight a guy who's young, who's talented, who can switch hit just like Crawford. He can fight orthodox and southpaw. He got power and he got a chin on him. It's just like he don't gain anything for beating Boots Crawford at that time. It's a good opportunity for Boots all the way around the board. So I'm not saying that he shouldn't have called him out, but right now, neither two of those guys, Errol Spence or Crawford, is in his way right now. So right now, the landscape is open for Boots to take this division by storm and accomplish his goal. And then, of course, after that, if he wants to move up to 54, of course, why not? But right now, timing-wise, I just think he just should stay at 147 and try to get a fight with Mario Barrios first, because Mario Barrios just fought, and he didn't look as impressive. So, and it's a big money fight because Mario Barrios got a huge following. And then on top of that, he can go for Brian Norman Jr. and then Stan Jonas, the other champion, and then it's over from there.
And Lucky, let me say this to you, Lucky, it's not the same thing. They wanted Boots to be the co-main in Saudi Arabia. Terrence Crawford and Boots would have been on pay-per-view, would have been a major fight, probably would have had a stacked undercard. Everybody would have came out, all the celebrities. It's not the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. Because I ask you this, Lucky, if I was Boots, I would turn it down in Saudi Arabia too. Why wouldn't me and Virgil fight in America where I could be the headliner at the Wells Fargo? If we is going to fight, why would I do it and be
Saudi Arabia?
Huh?
Is it more money in Saudi Arabia?
We don't know, because they saying that they offered all of this money to Boots for Vergil Ortiz, but Terrence Crawford said if they offered him a lot of money to fight Boots, he would do it. So you got $8 million for Jaron, Ennis, and Virgil, but you ain't got the bread for Terrence Crawford and Jaron Ennis.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. They wasn't gonna pay no 800 for Boots to fight that guy. That I don't know who made that up. That is a complete lie. I will say this. I don't know how much money they're making over there with the Saudis. I know everybody keeps saying that the Saudis cut a huge check, but we got to understand something. Any fighter that's signed to an exclusive promotional deal and contract with a promoter that fights on Turkey Al-Sheikh's cards in Saudi, 30% of their purse has to be given to their promoter. That's why every time you see any of these fighters that compete on the card in Saudi and they're signed to a promoter, you see the promoter sitting next to Turkey. Bob Arum be sitting next to him, Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, because they know 30% of what he's paying is going to have to go to them anyway, because it's just the nature of the business of boxing. So it don't make no difference. But what we do know is that Vergil Ortiz will not generate, and I told you this already, Lucky, Vergil Ortiz will not generate more money for Boots to make at 154 than it would for Mario Barrios unifying the titles.
Mm-hmm. Mario's got one of the belts and Stanios has got the other. Who has the third belt?
Brian Norman Jr.
Brian, okay, Brian. Okay, so.
And Mr. Greg, Barrios and Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Sr. then came out and said now, after that Boots performance, they ready to fight him. But everybody keep leaving that part out.
Dean,
yo,
them 3 guys that Mr. Greg just named, have they been ducking Boots?
Are they ducking them?
Have they? Have they been ducking them at all, as far as you know?
Yes, because when Boots was first a free agent, this is what Bozy was saying, that they went over to try to go to the PBC to get those unifications fights with Stan Jonas, with Mario Barrio. That's what they wanted first. So they couldn't get that. That's why they said they still got a great relationship with those guys over there. They just couldn't Like I said, the PBC couldn't make those guys fight him because, as you see now, Mario Barrios is outwardly his first time ever. Oh, I'll fight Boots now. Brian Norman Jr., I'll fight Boots now. So Boots
Well, that's the thing, though, Dean. I think the PBC could make them fights happen. I mean, they already said you got to go against King Kong.
But
So
Lucky,
why wouldn't they
how
make that
can we
fight
say
happen?
that when we sat up there and saw Brian Norman Jr. sit up there and turn it down numerous times? We just saw Lomachenko turn it down. And that's
But
against
no.
Javante
I'm
Davis.
saying if Boost would have signed with PBC, them fights could have been made.
But Lucky, what I'm saying to you is you're going off of what you think. I'm going off of what Jaron, Ennis, and them has put out there that they tried. We don't know what they talked to them about. We do know that they didn't get the fights, or Jaron Ennis would be over there fighting them to unify. He would have been doing it.
So if they don't get them fights now, if they can't come to agreement, is it okay for him to fight Ortiz?
Yeah. At that point, he gonna have to go up to 154.
Yeah.
Like he said he would.
I'm going to say no. You know why I'm going to say no, y'all? Because why would he fight Ortiz when he could use his 147 status to fight Bakaram? You know, like Devin did, Regis, like Terrence Crawford did, Madrimov, like Lamont Roach is doing Javante Davis right at this moment. Why would I do that for an interim title? Hold on, Lucky. Why would I do that for an interim title? When I do decide to move up, I can automatically challenge the IBF champion. Why would I do that and be a main event doing it?
You said you wanted to be great. That's what I'm thinking. You want to go
But
against
hold on,
great
Lucky.
fighters.
Wouldn't it be greater to fight the IBF champion and get a belt at that weight class than fight for an interim title and be the second fight on a co-main?
Hey, Lucky, this the thing, right? Boost, let Boost get his legacy established. I mean, he already came out, said what his intentions was, you know what I'm saying, at 147. So, you know what I mean, let him establish that, get that done first. Everybody trying to propel him into a whole nother weight class. They didn't do that to Spence or Crawford. They let them boys handle their business at 147. Let Boots handle his business at 147 and then go on, you know what I'm saying, to 154. That's what he said he's going to do. But everybody just want him to just vacate and just automatically just jump to 154 because, like, nobody checking for Ortiz, man.
No,
like,
they not.
Ortiz ain't that, man. Nobody checking for him.
And I told Lucky this. Nobody, when Ortiz won in August, nobody, you ain't gonna find a content creator that came out and said after Ortiz won in August of 2024, I can't find one that said, dang, Ortiz was in a close fight. He got knocked down twice, but he still came back and won. You know what, man? I want Boost to move up and fight Ortiz.
Hey, Manager Marty.
You know what everybody was saying a month after Ortiz fought in August? We were talking about Brian Norman Jr. fighting Boots in September.
We were talking about Virgil rematching Bulachuk because everybody think he lost.
Who is Boots mandatory?
It was he just fought it. It was Karen.
Somebody called me, huh?
Hey, Manager. Yeah, no. What I was saying was right from like what I remember at 147 when Spence was at 147 and Bud was at 147, right? I didn't hear them really talking about moving to 154 until Boots became their mandatories. That's when all of a sudden, oh, now I can't carry this 147. I can't make 147 no more. Now all of a sudden, they couldn't make one. They had no problems making 147 until Boots became a threat. And I gotta see this young boy sooner or later. So you know what? I'm gonna get up out of here. That's what happened. But nobody really saying that, but that's what really happened. You know what I'm saying?
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
I don't blame him.
You know what I'm saying? That's just real talk. You know what I'm saying? That's what having no bias, no cap. Because
and boxing realist, you want to know what's crazier, bro?
What's
Everybody need to thank Boots for Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. You want to know why? Because the fight would have never got made if they didn't agree to go right into negotiations to fight the man afterwards.
Right.
Nobody likes to talk about that. If they would have told the IBF, we're not doing that after this fight, the IBF would have mandated that Errol Spence fight Jaron Ennis before he even do the undisputed thing.
Right.
That was the whole caveat for them to fight. Everybody forgets this. And my biggest thing, y'all, I want to ask the panel this, y'all.
Right.
I really want to ask the panel this. Why is it so much on Boots? You hear all of this stuff when they think Boots ducking. But Mario Barrios get a pass. You don't hear nobody talking about Amonte Stanionis. Brian Norman Sr. could build his whole son's career off of Jaron Ennis, but they don't get criticized that way. Why? Because if y'all say it's because Jaron Ennis is a star, then why would Vergil Ortiz and them give the man 48 hours? Who's the A side to make a decision?
No,
How can the B
48
side
months.
give him an ultimatum?
Listen, he said 48 months. Then he said the 48 hours. But he capped with the whole thing. And we signed the
No.
paperwork and sent it back.
There was no
and
paperwork.
They didn't sign. I know that, but that's what I'm saying. That was the cap, and that's where everybody come with this. He ducked. He ain't ducked. How you ducking somebody? Y'all in two different weight classes. First and foremost, you know what I'm saying? He's not like Boots is at 147. IBF champion. Vergil Ortiz is nobody, bro. He's at 154. He looking. He running around the neighborhood trying to find scraps. Nobody looking for him. Nobody want to fight him. He trash, man. He's not what y'all think he is, man. He's not.
Fight.
He gonna really get in there with somebody. They gonna clean his clock. You see what happened to him in the last fight. To me, in my opinion, he lost.
But Manager Marty, I want to know, why do these other fighters, if everybody got so much to say about ducking, why ain't they making the same content about people we see blatantly ducking Jaron?
Twice.
Go ahead, Manager Marty. I'm sorry.
Stanionis ducked him twice. Ortiz ducked him twice. Norman's Jr. ducked him. You know what I mean? Everybody that y'all talking about has ducked Boots already. Like, these is facts. This ain't no cap. Like, all you gotta do is go on YouTube. It's there. Everybody I just named ducked that bull. Stanionis 2 times. Ortiz 2 times. And he capped it right now. Like, why? Come on, man. It's not rocket science, man. Everybody ducked that bull already.
Bro, Dame just said that he fought his mandatory Karen. If the mandatory is out the way, why did he got to vacate the belts to fight him?
No, they trying to say if he fight Ortiz, they gonna try to strip him.
For what? He ain't got no mandatory.
Nah, that's what they said.
No, that's not how it works.
You gotta ask Manager Marty. He knows better.
This is how it works. If Boots go up to fight Ortiz, he would not have to vacate anything. He can still keep his title, and he can come back down and defend it. Now, I'm going to give you an example of how this played out. Remember when Kell Brook moved up? He still was the champ at 47. He moved up, and he fought Triple G. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
He didn't have to vacate his title. He still held his title. But when he came back down, you seen how he looked, and he looked pretty good to come right back down. And he fought Spence, and that's when he lost the title. What I'm trying to say is, if Boots still hold on to the title at 47, move up to fight Ortiz, the expectation level for Boots is going to be what? Go back down to 47 and defend your title. And my thing is, why do he have to subject his body to basically go and fluctuate in weight when he's the champion? For what? But so now you got to question this, which is what I did at the beginning of this broadcast. Why would De La Hoya and them call for Boots and not Crawford, who has a belt at 54? I can tell you 2 reasons why. Number one, because we know that Oscar De La Hoya understands that Boots, his marketability is rising. I mean, think about it like this. You can't find another fighter within a matter of 4 months that went to their hometown back to back and sold it out. Nowhere in 4 months. That was a gutsy move by the promoter. And I know we can say a lot of things about Eddie Hearn, but we got to give that guy credit for making that executive decision. That was a good business move. Now, second reason, and I got to take my glasses off for this one. Isn't Vergil Ortiz in a snack program like Bud Crawford? I don't want y'all to get mad at me. Now listen, the last time there was 2 people.
He said it worked.
The last time there were 2 people on the snack program that was going to fight each other. It was Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter. Y'all remember that? And Victor Conti told me, he was here twice, and he told me that he had to get on the phone with Sean Porter and ask him, is it okay if I hire Terrence Crawford to be a part of the program before he fights you? Because I didn't want it to be both of y'all on it. Then he called Terrence Crawford and said, I just want to make sure. Is it okay if I keep showing Porter with the snack program, because both of y'all on it, and Terrence Crawford, this is what Victor said, and I can pull it up right here. I own the content. Victor Conti said that Terrence Crawford said, it's no problem, make it. But see, both of them was on that program. And Vergil Ortiz on that program, and so is Crawford. And you know Victor got to get the clearance from both guys. All I'm saying is, why wouldn't De La Hoya and them go after a champion at 154? Why would they go target a guy in a totally different weight class? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And then say, y'all got 48 hours to, y'all can't press nobody. Go fight the world champions. You know why? De La Hoya and them know that Vergil Ortiz can't beat no Crawford. And guess what? I wouldn't be surprised the way Vergil Ortiz's last performance looked if he can beat Madrimov. Because Madrimov is not a walk in the park either. And you know what? When you heard these content creators, they were saying, oh man, but Boots, his performance was bad. Man, expectation level, you ain't never find them do a video on Vergil Ortiz's performance in August when he got dropped twice and he was in a controversial win. None of them said anything about his
Manager Marty, they did. But you know what they were saying? No, you want to know what they were saying? Because everybody forget this. No, they talked about it. But Boots is not. But Boots is not the person they were saying. Everybody was saying he need to rematch Boachuk. What happened to that?
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that even make another point that I can make. Okay, cool.
What happened to that? And then my thing is, y'all, can't nobody explain this part. If Boots do move up, why would he fight for an interim title when he could directly challenge the IBF champion? They cannot answer this question. When he do decide to move up, Mr. Greg, when he do decide to move up, why wouldn't he do what Devin Haney did with Regis? Why wouldn't he do what Terrence Crawford did with Madrimov? Oh, yeah. You know who else was in line for a fight like that, y'all? Y'all gonna love this. Teofimo Lopez was rumored to be fighting Brian Norman Jr. for the WBO belt. Wouldn't that be smart on Teofimo if he was going to move up to a different weight class? But y'all got different standards for Boots. He should go drop. He should say, forget my IBF status. I'm going to fight for an interim title when I could directly move up and challenge Bakaram or Tazaliev.
The only point of moving up really is for two reasons. Number one, for the big bag, that's got to be number one, or number two, for a world title. And unfortunately for Vergil Ortiz, he don't have neither. So what is the point of Boots moving up there? I just don't get it.
I don't know what he brings. He doesn't bring, as it's been said, he doesn't bring anything. As far as I'm concerned, Boots stay at 147 and deal with the down there. Now, everybody, that's why I asked who had the belts. I'm almost certain each one of those guys besides Boots are going to take as the easy fights that they can get to get some money, the 75% of the purse of those fights that they're going to have before they do anything around unification. Barrios may very well benefit from being on Netflix and having newer eyes on him. We'll have to see how that plays out in terms of what his marketability is and how he fills up the houses where he fights. But all of them are going to do that, in my opinion, because that's just the business. Let us get some of this easy money first before we take these unifications where we lose the belt and we now got to get back in line. So I think that's how that's going to play out. But of course, you're going to always, as you said, call out the big names to keep your name floating around. But you ain't making those fights. And that's what Oscar is doing with Ortiz right now. He's trying to get that name back out there because Ortiz has had a lot of laws in his career. He's been sick a couple of times. He's not looked good in the last couple of fights, etc. But he's still, they're trying to make him more viable. So that makes sense that he would try to feed off some of these other fights that he's not going to get. And make it look like he's more important than what he is. That's what you do. That's sometimes that you do.
Mr. Greg, you want to know these other guys at 147 champions, as we just saw with Mario Barrios. There ain't no easy fights. You think it's easy until you get in there.
Yeah,
It ain't no Brian Norman Jr. Stanionis the only one I think could really hold his belt down against all the other competition. I'm not sure about Mario. You sure you going to duck Jaron Ennis, fight lesser guys, you probably still lose. And then you really going to look like a fool. Because guess what everybody going to say, Mr. Greg? If Mario Barrios take a fight and he almost lost this last one. Did you see how much they was trashing Mario Barrios after this last fight? You know what everybody was saying? Barrios, you should have fought Boots. You almost lost to a dude that got 7 losses. Just because you don't know the fighter, don't mean that the fighters is not good.
When I say easy, Dean, I'm not talking about so much the fighter itself. I'm saying if you're getting 75% of the purse because you got the belt and whoever got to challenge you got to take what they get. That's easy to do,
right?
In terms of getting the money. Now you may get in the ring and find out that this is not an easy fight in itself. You just get paid a lot better. And that's what I was really trying to speak on, that you're going to take fights that you think is going to be a little bit easier before you do the unification fight. You know, chances are you're not going to beat I won't even say chances are you're not beating Boots. First of all, let's just say that. You know you're going to have a problem with the other two probably, because if you lose the belt, you got to get back in line. So it's easy to take your mandatory or guys who's looking for a fight or guys who we might not know too well or on the down low. I should have said down low, on the down swing. So it's easy to do those kinds of fights. But sooner or later, you got to stop playing around. You got to stop going through all the machinations that they're going to right now and do these unification fights. And that's what Boots is going to be facing, these guys trying to move around, hoping something happened to Boots where he might not look as good, or he might get hurt, or something may happen where now they're more willing to do these unifications. But it's still, I say, Boots, stay there at 147, stop entertaining, or don't even entertain the 154 fights that could happen or might happen, or they're going to talk about happening, and do that unification. Sooner or later, it's going to happen. And again, yourself and Marty and some of the other contact creators could probably be instrumental in drumming up the interest for those unification fights at 147, as opposed to playing this coming up for no reason or going down for no reason. That's how
Mr. Greg, they a bunch of phonies, Mr. Greg, because just a couple months ago, everybody wanted to see him and Brian Norman Jr. Can y'all make your mind up, please?
Right.
Yeah.
Just
fans are going to be fickle.
But just a few months ago, people were saying that Brian Norman Jr. ducked Boots. Nobody was even talking about Vergil Ortiz until Michael Benson put that tweet out, out, and that was because of Eric Gomez on Dan Rafael's platform. But I do have a question for all of you guys. You guys wasn't here in the beginning because I didn't have nobody up on the panel. Let me get your take on this before we go home. I'll start with you, Lucky, and then you, the boxing realist, Mr. Greg, and then Dean. It's not official yet. I know people keep saying official, but none of the boxing regulatories even came out to confirm this, nor did either of the promoters officially confirm this. But just for the sake of, people saying that, because it's being widespread, that De La Hoya spoke on it, Kid Austin spoke on it, and now Shakur responded that Kid Austin and Shakur Stevenson is supposed to fight. I'll start with you, Lucky, and then you, boxing realist. What's your take on that fight if it does happen? Kid Austin and Shakur Stevenson. What you got on that?
If I had to bet my money on it, I'd bet on Shakur. But I want Kid Austin to win. And honestly, I believe it would have been a better fight if it was Keyshawn.
Keyshawn against Kid Austin or Keyshawn against Shakur?
Against Kid Austin.
Okay. What you got, boxing realist? Kid Austin, Shakur Stevenson, that's what they're talking about. What's your take on it?
It's going to end bad for Kid Austin. It's going to get bad for him. He's not ready for Shakur. Yeah. He's not ready for Keyshawn. He's not ready for none of them dudes, man. Did you see what just happened to him in that last fight against that little Mexican boy? Mm-hmm. And his pop was telling him he's never been stopped. He got dropped. He looked bad, man. Listen, man. he not ready for none of them bulls, man. He need to chill out. Stop letting his pop gas him up. You know, his pop keep, selling all these wolf tickets. Like, you throwing him up in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he lucky my young boy Sheen is locked up. My young boy Sheen tuned him up. I seen Jefferson Jr.
Salute to my young boy Sheen.
Yeah,
And
you know. I mean, come on, man. Israel used to train my son. So, listen, man, he not ready, man. Kid Austin need to chill. You know what I mean? And he need, it's going bad for him, man. They made the fight. They say it's going down, but it's not going good. Not for him.
Hey, can I say something before you let somebody else go?
Of course, Lucky. Of course, brother. Anytime.
If Shakur do make this a good fight, I really hope that he can do it the same way he did his own friend. The way that he did Jamel Hearn. That was his friend. And he beat that man real bad in front of his wife. But he haven't done that to no one else. So if you're going to fight somebody, put up the same fight that you did to your own friend.
You think Shakur's going to hold back on this kid?
No.
I mean, for what he been saying, he been holding back. He said he could be more.
I think he gonna hurt this kid. I don't think he gonna hold back on this young, because they talking too crazy. His dad is
Shakur about to belt the ass on that boy, man.
I hope so.
I hope so. Hey, listen, he might knock him out, man. And Shakur not even a knockout artist, but the way, listen, I'm telling you, he about to get done dirty.
Hey,
yeah,
it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
Mr. Greg, what you got on the kid Austin, Shakur Stevenson? I mean, the father has been coming out screaming Shakur name, shaming the guy publicly, insulting the guy, talking about that his son is going to knock Shakur out. He also said that his son will knock Tank Davis out within 4 rounds. They said that this fight might happen. What's your take on it, Mr. Greg?
His father's selling wolf tickets. That's what it basically comes down. I'm in agreement with Lucky and with the gentleman boxing realist. These fathers are looking for these big fights and these big paydays, whatever it means to them, way too soon. And then when you see your fighter, the only thing that you can remember about a fighter is what his last fight, how he looked. And Kid Austin didn't look great to me. He's going walk into a lion's den, and he's not prepared to fight a lion. He's not prepared psychologically as well. And his father is putting him in a position where he's going to get his son hurt before he develops good enough to be in fights that elevates him. That's how I see it. You're going to go in there, your father done pushed you. He's probably bullying him. And now that we see what kind of man the man is, you got to question it, whether it's happening or not. You're going to question it. You're going to start looking at all the nonverbals, the body language, et cetera, et cetera. Yep. So, but I don't think that fight is going to be good for Kid Austin. I think Shakur going to just do his thing on him. And then we're going to look at his father and say, why you do that? That's how I'm looking at it. So that's my feeling about that fight.
All right, Deem, and we also got Terrence Best Videos on here. Haven't seen him in a while, so
what's going on, Terrence?
Deem, I mean, I know that you spoke against the father. You see the antics that his dad keep running around here on social media is just so distasteful. But now it's like they called out Shakur. Shakur said yes, this fight most likely might happen. What's your take on Kid Austin and Shakur Stevenson, man?
It's real simple. Shakur by domination. Shakur by absolute domination. You know the one thing everybody keeps saying? That Kid Austin is not ready mentally. You know one fighter in boxing that if you're not ready mentally, you probably shouldn't get in there with. There's a young man named by Shakur Stevenson. You know what Shakur Stevenson's best asset is? His mind. That's the one thing Shakur Stevenson is very good at. Thinking in that ring. Hitting, not get hit. And I want to speak on something even more important about this fight, though. I think it's bad business from Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn. I think they letting their personal feelings. They're letting Turkey rub their hand and hold their hand. You know Turkey like to hold your hand. They letting them hold his hand and bullying them to make this fight. I got one question. I got a question for everybody on the panel. Y'all probably didn't think of this. Like Manager Marty say, you ain't going to hear this nowhere else. Ain't Shakur Stevenson and Kid Austin from New Jersey? They both from New Jersey, right?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's they from New Jersey last time I
Or
checked.
from North.
Yeah. It's bad for Shakur because Eddie, you haven't got Shakur a main event. Shakur is not a because Shakur is supposed to just slot it as the second to the last fight for the main event. That's bad business on Shakur. So you got two Black American fighters from the same state and have them be the third fight in Saudi Arabia, where none of the American public, only probably a few, will be over there to even watch it. When y'all could have put this in the Presidential Center in Newark, New Jersey, even if you didn't do it right now, because we know how venues are. Y'all could have put this in the Presidential Center where Kid Austin, at least if he lose, at least he was the main event. At least he got paid as a main event. This had potential to be on pay-per-view. So I think it's just bad business all the way around. Because guess what? When Shakur mops him, you know what everybody going to start to say, because Oscar De La Hoya is already building in an excuse. He was a prospect. He was a prospect, Shakur. Why you not fighting? Blase blah. And then they're going to use the co-main against him. This is why I didn't want Devin and Boots and Shakur to even go with Eddie Hearn in the first place, because Eddie Hearn has not built up no American fighter yet. Not yet has he done it. He's done the most with Jaron Ennis, but he hasn't even got Jaron Ennis the fights he wants. What he has done for Jaron Ennis is bring the fight back to Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Center, where he main evented and sold out. That part is great. Don't you think the name that Shakur Stevenson has, he deserves that same respect, that he should get that opportunity as well? So I think Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn are over here not only doing bad business, letting their personal feelings get in the way, but also letting Turki Ali Kashik dictate their pocketbook, when y'all could have sat up there and made this fight without Turki Ali Kashik and made more money from it, because they both would have been the main event fighters.
Well,
so
here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, Dean, because in the beginning of this broadcast, I looked up this fight, and it wasn't on BoxRec, because I asked people, y'all sure this fight gonna happen? Is it on BoxRec? I asked the people in the beginning. When y'all watch the replay of this, y'all see what I'm talking about in the beginning. And it wasn't on BoxRec. And here we are 3 hours in this live, and I go on BoxRec, and long and behold, the fight between Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Schofield is on there. I don't know who's listening to me, Mr. Greg, but they all must be listening in, because the fight's on there now.
What's the date for it?
It's February the 22nd.
Okay.
And this is the reason why I said that Boots did the right thing. Because now you got Arthur Beterbiev against Bivol in the rematch. You got Daniel Dubois against Joseph Parker. You got Vergil Ortiz against Madrimov. You got Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Schofield. All I'm saying is, all of those guys that I just named, they're going to be in a card in Saudi Arabia. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad business for them, because they are being active. But who is it bad business for? Boots. Why would Boots say he's going to fight Vergil Ortiz on an undercard of a Bivol versus a Beterbiev rematch, and 30% of his purse is going to have to go to Eddie Hearn? Because if you go on BoxRec, and this proved my point earlier, all of the promoters, Frank Warren, Tom Brown from TGB Promotion from PBC, Eddie Hearn from Matchroom, Bob Arum, and Oscar De La Hoya, all the top promoters, they're scheduled in this promotion because they're representing fighters that's competing on this card. And so what I'm saying is, that's all Turki Alashiki does. He's not a promoter. All he does is put the money up, and he has the promoters who has the expertise put their fighters in there against each other. And it's good business for them, but it's more so good business for the fighter only because it makes them active. But just know, because it's not their promoter's card being headlined, 30% of all of the fighters I just mentioned, 30% of their purses are going to go to their promoters. And you're going to see Turki Halashiki. He's going to be holding hands with all 5 of the promoters, sitting there side by side in Saudi Arabia. It's just good business. So if I was managing Boots, no, we ain't gonna do no undercard. So 30% of the purse can go to Eddie. No, we're gonna stay as a headliner, like we just went back to back in Philly. We don't have to stay in Philly. We got to give Philly a break now. But at the same time, we got 2 back-to-back big-time fights that we did in our hometown in the city within a matter of 4 months. Yeah, let's take a rest till March, April of 2025, and let's go get a world champion that we can unify with. That's good business. That's not
Marty.
ducking.
Who is Boots signed with now?
Matchroom with Eddie
Matchroom, okay.
Hey, outside of Philly, where's Boots gonna get that $8 million? If the $8 million is real, where's he gonna get the $8 million?
He could go to New York City. He could go to Washington D.C. We all gonna travel. Lucky, don't do that.
I'm gonna tell you like this.
It ain't enough for y'all
But
Philly guys.
who gonna put the money up though?
I'm gonna tell you like this, and this is not a knock on Boots or nobody else. Turkey Al Sheik or no promoter is putting up $8 million for not one fighter. Now I'm gonna ask the panel this, and I'm gonna go to Terrence's best videos. You mean to tell me Golden Boy Promotions promote Vergil Ortiz, right? Does Vergil Ortiz draw a bigger crowd than Ryan Garcia?
No. Absolutely not. Never, ever in life.
What was
Ryan didn't even sell his last fight out.
I know, but hold on. What was Ryan Garcia's purse when he fought Devin Haney?
I believe like 1.5, 2 mil, something like that.
No. It's public record because he had to turn it back over to the promoter for the conditions of his suspension, remember?
Yeah, yep.
1.1 million.
1.1, I forgot. Yes.
You mean to tell me Vergil Ortiz generate more of a purse than Ryan Garcia?
Absolutely not.
No.
So that means that Boots, who just made over 3.3 million in his last fight, got to take a pay cut to move up to fight a guy who don't make more than Ryan Garcia?
Don't make sense.
Y'all just got to make this make business sense for me. That's ducking? I'm just asking the question.
They got to learn how the game is.
Hey, man, Marty.
Okay, but
they saying now that Virgil.
You're right,
Virgil
Marty.
You're
right, Marty. But who's he gonna fight?
Who?
To get money.
They just said that that Virgil Ortiz said he'll never fight Ennis.
Who's Boots gonna fight to get the next 3.5 easy mil?
Who is he gonna fight?
Yeah.
It don't make a difference. He's in the contract with Eddie Hearn.
Right.
But I'm just saying, to get that money, he still got to fight somebody.
Terrence, Boots versus Brian Norman Jr. is a bigger fight than Boots versus Vergil Ortiz as the co-main.
But Brian said he ain't gonna fight him. So I'm asking you real.
No, they said they'll fight him now, Terrence.
They did say they came out recently. You ain't been watching YouTube?
Oh no, he said he'll fight
Eddie Hearn.
Did they sign a contract?
No, they ain't signed up.
I want to see him sign first because I don't know about Brian.
Terrence, Boots just fought 3 weeks ago. They wouldn't sign a contract even if they was talking.
No, not right now.
I'm saying, I'm just saying until they sign a contract, I don't believe that.
But my thing is, Terrence, why do y'all always put it on Jaron Ennis when you got to say the other guy? Shouldn't Brian Norman Jr. want to fight Jaron Ennis after as much as his daddy out here talking?
He should.
Yeah, but
He should.
Thank you.
Hey, Dean, y'all said it's best when you put a black fighter against a Mexican fighter.
Yes.
You get more revenue that way, right?
Yes.
Okay, then. No one knows Brian Norman Sr. outside of YouTube for real.
Facts.
Yeah, that's
Nobody
true.
really knows him outside of YouTube.
That's true.
So no one's paying to see Brian Norman.
But Lucky, he's not getting paid because he would be the co-main. He is not Bivol and Beterbiev. If he is going to fight Virgil, why wouldn't he do it in America where he could be the headliner at it?
I guarantee you he get paid more doing that than getting paid to fight Brian Norman.
Yeah, that's what we want to say.
How can y'all say that when
you Turkey pay him more? Turkey wouldn't pay him more?
Y'all don't know that. Y'all just saying that.
Well, okay, hold on. Back up for a second. Let's do this. Why would Boots?
I'm asking. I don't know.
All right, look. Why would Boots fight Brian Norman Jr. first if he can get paid more money to fight Mario Barrios for a belt?
There's nothing wrong with that. It is nothing wrong with that.
Mario agreed.
We would buy that fight.
Mario said he'd come out and fight him too, Terrence. He said that recently too. Yep.
Yeah,
I would try to get that sign.
We don't know who Brian is.
I know. If he can get that sign, yeah. Because some of these motherfuckers that come out and say, yeah, we're going to do something. Then the next time, when it's time to sign on the dotted line, they don't sign. That's why.
Shouldn't we hold them accountable?
Yes. Yes, but
But but but
Mario
but but,
Barrio.
but hold
Yeah.
on, Terrence. But the talk is not about the other fighters ducking Boots. It's about Boots ducking Virgil when Virgil already done ducked Boots twice.
But then before all of this, everybody agreed that all these people were ducking Boots. Who said they
So, yo,
weren't?
Terrence, stay with me.
No,
Terrence, what I'm saying is, why
Yeah.
is they people making more content about
Mhm.
Boots supposedly ducking Virgil than they are about Mario Barrios, Montes Stanionis, Brian Norman Jr., and Virgil ducking him twice already?
Let me tell you why, D. Because these people, they just anytime somebody says that's viable, says they are willing to fight Boots, that's just gonna happen, bro. Because he's considered the man. When you're the man, and if it's somebody viable, y'all, that's the same thing, bud. Just like when Boots said, "Oh yeah, I'm willing to fight Terrence," that means that everybody's gonna want to see that because they want any viable opponent that they think and it's just viable against Bud. They're gonna want to see it. They don't want to see
Now,
Bud
Terrence, can I
fighting
ask you
so
this?
bum. Yeah, go ahead.
Could Jaron Ennis call
Mhm.
Terrence Crawford up and tell Terrence Crawford what weight division is going to be at, and he got 48 hours to let him know? Could he do that to Terrence Crawford? What you think Terrence would say to Jaron Ennis if he tried that?
Well,
You know that answer, right?
I like to hear that conversation.
It wouldn't even be no. I can tell you exactly how that'd go, Mr. Greg. It'd be like, huh? You know that red button on your phone? Reject. There, phone off.
but
Does
but
Eddie
that's my
heard?
point, Dean. But that's my point. Is that the reason he's getting criticized is because shit, any vibe. Even though I think, like everyone's saying, I think that's an easy fight for Boots.
Mm-hmm.
It is just get his name up, bro. I'm not his name, but just somebody on his resume to say, "Bitch, look, I beat this motherfucker ass."
so
That's the
Karen,
only
so
reason
he'll
I
get.
say that.
Hold up, best videos, and I
Yeah,
asked Lucky this, and I asked Lucky
yeah,
this too.
yeah.
Boots don't get credit for beating Karen. Karen's a good fighter, man.
He is a good fighter, but to the general public, they're not going to give him credit. Y'all know that, bro. Y'all know
That's
that.
Ain't
just
that the
because they never
problem,
seen
though,
him fight
Terrence?
before. That's the
No,
only
no,
reason
no,
why.
no. If Karen go out there and beat a name that everybody respect, then he'll get the credit. Y'all know how that works.
No, hold on,
Sometimes you
Terrence.
get your
Now
yeah.
you messed up, right?
Go
But
ahead.
everybody gave Madrimov credit for fighting Terrence Crawford. What's the difference? They ain't see Madrimov ever
Right.
prior to that in
What you
America
mean? They
ever.
gave Bud the credit only because he was a champion, Dean.
No, but
That was
what I'm saying, but Terrence, a lot of
yeah.
people think Karen could beat the other champions at 147. So why
I
shouldn't he
do.
get credit?
I
I
think
do.
so too. I think,
I
but we're
do.
talking about the casuals right now, Dean.
But
They see Karen. Yeah,
my thing is, Terrence, it take people like us to
yeah,
push the sport forward to get that narrative out of people's heads. Though, look what just
yeah,
happened to
yeah.
Mario Barrios in front of 50 million people.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah, I
just
gotta
saying
get him
all
out of
Boxing
there,
that.
is
Hey
fellas.
bigger than
Dean,
the
hey
20
Dean,
guys
hey
that we talk
Dean,
about, y'all.
Dean,
Boxing is bigger than that.
Dean. You crushed Terrence Crawford, bro, for fighting David Avenesian. You said, why did he fight someone with a name? So why is it a problem when we say why Booth ain't fighting somebody with a name?
First of all, I can answer that. When he fought David Avenesian, the reason we were saying that because he left negotiations with Earl Spence to fight David Avenesian and didn't let Earl Spence or his team know. That's what held the fight up. That's why we said that, Lucky. So if
So
you
it was
Dean,
no
that's not
negotiations.
true,
There was no
Dean.
that is
negotiations with
true.
Ortiz.
Dean, that's
Huh?
not
Say that
true.
again, Lucky.
There's no negotiations with Ortiz.
That's Boots saying that Boots came out publicly. Unless you're gonna call Boots a liar, Boots said publicly he don't know what y'all talking about, and if it don't come from him, don't believe it. That's what Boots said,
He said it was going on behind his back.
and he said that too.
And he left it on the table when he found out.
Huh?
He left it on the table when he found out.
Lucky, do you know that Vergil Ortiz, they saying that he gonna fight Madrimov now, right? Do you know less than 24 hours ago, Xander Zayas was up there saying he got an offer to fight Vergil Ortiz and he accepted? Why he not fighting Xander Zayas if all of this stuff is true that Vergil and them team is talking about? Did you know that happened?
No, I didn't. I did
Yeah, you
not
know
know.
I follow everything. Go on Twitter. 24 hours ago, Xander Zayas put on Twitter that I was offered to fight for Vergil Ortiz, and I said yes.
When? No, I mean he can't fight this.
Hey, Dean.
And that's my point,
Hey,
Terrence. Thank
Dean.
you. Yes,
Hey,
sir.
Dean. And content creators that saw that, they ran with it.
Yep.
And guess what? They were wrong because Madrimov is fighting Vergil Ortiz now. You see that?
Yep.
Let me
Everybody
ask you
keeps
something.
going by hearsay, bro, and
Uh-huh.
not doing their due diligence.
Let me ask y'all this. Does Eddie Hearn also handle Conor Ben?
Yes.
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 Conor Ben is 147, right?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I heard. He's trying to get him out of there. He's trying to get Boots
he's
out of there. Eddie. I don't know why. That's why we don't sign with Eddie, bro. He's a slickster, bro.
He's moved. Graham.
Yeah.
Eddie. Conor Ben really wants to be 154 and 160. He can't make 147.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
But tell his ass to come up to 154 then.
That's what they're trying to work on.
Get his ass knocked out.
Mr. Marty, can I get controversial on your program? I gotta ask you before I do it. I need to be controversial, though.
Of course.
Because I waited for the 3 hours and I know we about to get off. And I just wanted to leave you something to think about that maybe tomorrow or the day after we could talk about. Y'all know my slogan. I let people talk that like to talk because you get to see how full of ish they are. Now, have y'all heard anybody say Shakur Stevenson was ducking Joe Cordina? Have y'all heard that anywhere? Because he fighting Kid Austin. Y'all haven't heard that, right?
No.
People wouldn't dare say that, right?
No.
Wow, it's crazy because wasn't Shakur Stevenson scheduled to fight Joe Cordina prior to his hand injury?
Yes.
Right.
They in the same weight class, right?
Right.
And the paperwork was signed because the only reason why the fight didn't happen because Shakur got hurt. Is that true or not?
That's true.
All true.
But then Shakur takes another fight and don't fight Joe Cordina, a fight that was already signed. So my biggest point is, if y'all gonna say Boots is ducking a guy that's not at his division, that didn't sign a contract, that he say he don't know nothing about, but Shakur get to take another fight with a prospect. Joe Cordina is not a prospect, but he's a former champion, I think he is, right? Okay, I just stay there. With a prospect. And don't fight Joe Cordina, because guess what, y'all? You want to know who came out on Twitter today complaining about the same thing? Take a wild guess.
Joe Cordina?
Joe Cordina.
Complaining about not getting a fight?
He was scheduled to fight Shakur Stevenson. The only reason why it didn't happen because Shakur had a hand injury and told them that after that they will be resuming the fight. But that didn't happen. Shakur Stevenson left that fight and fought Kid Austin instead of fighting Joe Cordina. So why aren't people calling Shakur Stevenson a duck? I'm not saying he is. I'm just trying to show y'all the double standard.
Because they don't think, because they were bashing Shakur for that fight.
Huh?
They were bashing Shakur for that fight, and I thought it was a bad fight too. I didn't want to see that.
Oh, so let me get this straight. So it's okay to duck somebody when we just because we bash the fight and we don't want to see it. So then that lets you know, Terrence, that people are very selective on what they want to call a duck and don't want to call a duck. It's all selective.
Yeah.
It's not a standard.
I'm asking you,
Terrence, hold on, Terrence, because my thing is consistency. Manager Marty, I call myself Mr. Consistency. If you're going to have a standard as a man and say, if somebody does this, somebody does that, that is a duck. Then Shakur Stevenson did the same thing that Lomachenko did to Gervonta Davis. It's literally the same exact thing.
No, it's more nuanced than that.
Why is it? Why? Tell me what's the nuance.
And let me tell you why.
Yeah, bro, just because they all did it, that doesn't make it right for Boots.
No, but let me explain to D real quick.
But Boots didn't agree to no terms.
Thank you.
Boots never agreed to any terms.
No, he didn't agree. But the moment he heard about it, the moment he heard that it was going on behind his back, he could have said, "Hey."
He did. Lucky he came out and addressed it.
He could have said, "That's easy work. I'll take that."
Okay, here's how it works. Every fighter that have representation, it's always going to be behind their back. It's nothing personal. When Eddie Hearn was talking to Eric Gomez, they called Eddie Hearn. That it wasn't like, oh, he was trying to do something shady against Boots. I'm taking up for Eddie because I know the business. That's the only thing I'm saying about Eddie. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna try to negotiate terms behind Boots' back. At the end of the day, the fighter still has to sign the paperwork and agree to the terms. So basically, it was a phone call that came through to Eddie Hearn. That was it. When Eddie Hearn brought the information back to Boots, They were willing to do it. The question was, what weight class are they talking about? Oh, 154. Well, hold on for a minute. I'm 47. I'm trying to get these belts. The guy ducked me 2 or 3 times when I wanted to fight him at 47. Now they want me to hurry up and make a rash decision to fight at 54 on an undercard of a what again? And 30% of my purse got to go to what? Why? I just headlined 2 back-to-back cards within 4 months, and I'm trying to build on my name notoriety. So it's good business. It's not a duck. That's all I'm saying. It's just what it is it's been ingrained into the minds for the last couple of days. So now when I'm breaking the business down, it's hard for people to undo their mind to see what's going on because so many content creators and journalists have saturated the boxing media so much that it makes so much sense. When there was not an agreement on the table, there was no documentation signed, there was not a contract that was offered, and no content creator has evidence of this. I can get on the phone right now as I'm talking to y'all and call Boots on the phone. I can get on the phone right now as I'm talking to y'all and get on the phone with Bozy. I'm not even going to tell you whether I got on the phone with them already or not. All I'm saying is when it comes to Boots, he's 147. Nobody talked about Vergil Ortiz when he won his fight in August. Nobody was talking about Boots fighting Ortiz. So the question becomes, once again, what is the motivation for Golden Boy to initiate a call on behalf of Ortiz fighting Boots instead of initiating a call to fight a champion at 154? There's a reason for that. I was only joking about the snack and all that. But there's a reason for that.
Hey, maybe it's because, them other fighters that's champions, they haven't sold out their hometown back-to-back times like Boots. So he might just be a good draw like that.
Well, Terrence Crawford sold out his hometown almost in Nebraska.
Terrence
He
ain't
fought,
taking that fight.
and guess what? Terrence Crawford fought in Saudi Arabia, his last fight, in the same month that Vergil Ortiz fought in August.
Now he fought in Los Angeles, man, Jamarty.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right, LA. But he fought on the
rehab season, yes.
Right, that's what I meant to say. He fought on the rehab season. What they doing now for Vergil Ortiz and Madrimov, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you, Dean. I never got that.
Oh, my fault. Terrence Best.
Dean,
Go ahead, big dog.
Dean,
yes, sir.
So the nuance is this: if you don't fight if you duck supposedly duck, but the fighter is a better fight and you have a greater chance of losing, no one's gonna call you a duck, bro. That's like if Tank leaves this Lamont fight and says, "Fuck it, I ain't fighting Lamont. I want to fight Keyshawn." No one's gonna call Tank a duck for not fighting Lamont. So
But
it's that's the only point I'm trying to make.
Terrence, what evidence do we have from watching Kid Austin fight Garon that he's a better fight than Joe Cordero? What evidence do we have?
We don't.
So
And I don't like
then
to
it just goes to my point again. You don't have no evidence of that. But what I'm saying is,
you wanted to see that Cordero fight? Seriously.
Hey, listen, I didn't, but I didn't ask for Kid Austin either. I like the Kid Austin fight, but I didn't ask for that.
But which one you would rather see? Seriously.
To be honest, because I like Shakur. For Shakur's sake, I would have much rather him have a fight with Joe Cordero and be the headline than be the co-main in Saudi Arabia, where his American fan base not even going to be able to come out there and support.
Dean. So if he's the headline, how much you think he's gonna make that night?
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
And that's why I say that's one of the reasons he went over to. I keep telling everybody that's one of the reasons he went over to Turkey to get that bag that y'all say he don't deserve.
But Terrence, Shakur own words. He said he was getting the bag for Joe Cordero. That's the only reason why he took the fight. That's what he said.
But that's why he went to Eddie.
Terrence, verbatim, what Shakur said is, I got the most money I ever got to fight Joe Cordero. That's why I'm doing it. That's why he changed his hashtag from hashtag greatness to hashtag chasing the bag. That's Shakur.
Yes, exactly. So so I don't know what he's getting for Cordero. He might be getting the same thing he's getting for this fight, but he's getting a bigger bag in his estimation than headlining a fight in Newark. Is all I'm saying. So he's about the money. If he's gonna get more money, doing it that way and being third on the card, hey, I'll take. I guess
But then,
Shakur's
Terrence,
saying
how
he'll
do y'all
take the money.
criticize Lamont Roach then? Because
I
Lamont
didn't
Roach is a champion, is considered the best at a division, and a be the favorite if he fought Kid Austin.
Who's that you say, y'all? I didn't criticize. If
Terrence,
that's the
I've been
best he
on
can
enough
do,
Lamont
panels,
Roach is chasing
Terrence.
greatness.
if
Lamont
that's the
Roach is
best
chasing
fight he can
greatness.
get, Dean, I would have rather see him fight somebody else. But if that's the only
But
fight he
but
can
but,
get,
but
that's the
Terrence,
only
my
fight he
thing is
can.
Joe Cordina was Shakur Stevenson's first option. Lamont Roach was Gervonta Davis' fifth, as we all know, and has been documented. But
That's
people
what
was
Eddie
trashing
had.
Gervonta Davis
But
for fighting an
that's what.
actual champion, a guy that people around boxing consider to be the best at 130, him
But
or a
Dean,
Shacky Foster, which I
when
think
I
Lamont Roach is better than O'Shaquie Foster.
but Dean, when he signed with Eddie, I was one of the people saying that he's chasing the bag for 2 fights, and he'll be knocking back on Tank's door.
But
Y'all mad?
Terrence, what I'm
Yeah,
saying is he's
yeah.
not main eventing. So he's probably going
Okay.
to get a set price anyway because he's not main eventing. He's probably not getting no more to fight Joe Cordina than he was Kid Austin. But at least if he fought Joe Cordina, he would have been the attraction. He would have been the reason
But
people paid tickets, paid
hey,
parking, got dressed
mm,
to go out, the whole nine. It would have been in America. His family could have been sidelined, his cousins, his high school friends, all of that. That matters too to a fighter as
but
well.
unless we know what the pay differential is, we don't know that,
Well,
Dean.
well, I'll say this. Let's look at it like this, and I'll let all you guys get 30 seconds to close us out. All I'm saying, everybody that said that Boots was ducking Vergil Ortiz, I have a challenge for you. Whether you're here live or whether you're a content creator or whoever, it don't matter. This is all boxing. Make sure that you buy all 3 fights. February 1st, David Benavidez and David Morrell. February 22nd, your guy, Vergil Ortiz and Madrimov. And then March 1st, Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. See, we don't want to hear no, because here's the thing. That's 3 fights back to back. And they all come with a price tag because it's pay-per-view. It's not if you got Netflix, you pay your monthly subscription and they come with it. No, this is 3 fights back to back on pay-per-view at least $75 a piece. So for $150 you're gonna get a lot of fights, and that's a big card too. That Riot season, that's gonna be a nice boxing card, very good boxing card. All of the cards, really, all 3 of them. But what I'm just saying is, buy all the fights. Don't fire stick it. Don't steal it. Don't do nothing. Support the sport of boxing, because we all, even if we don't agree on everything, even on this panel, we all love the sport of boxing, and that's what it's really all about. So I'll stop the school bus there. Terrence, best video, give me your last 30. Then Mr. Greg, then Deem, and I'll close it with Lucky. It's on you, Terrence, best videos.
I only got I only got one thing to say. When you want to make some money, take Madrimov by knockout against Virgil. He got knocked down. Listen, bro, he got knocked down in that fight against the dude that Bud beat. I'm telling you, this guy's gonna get knocked the fuck out. Mark my words. That's easy money. I don't know what the line gonna be, but put your bets in. That's all I gotta say, guys. All right. Talk to y'all later, bro. Thanks for
All
having
right,
me
Terrence.
on.
Who next?
Mr. Greg, it's on you,
Oh,
Mr. Greg.
I'll say I don't believe anybody's chasing greatness anymore. I think all of them are chasing the bag. I understand why, but that's what's going on, and I think that has really hurt boxing a little more than we recognize. I think the fights that we're going to see took a while to be made. So while we was debating about this, that, the other, the real fights that were actually going to get made and paid for were made. You just announced you didn't see see the fights on BoxRec, and a few hours later, or maybe an hour later, you see the fights listed. But that didn't just happen today. Those fights was already signed and dealt with, and we just arguing about something else. this is what we're going to be doing, I think, for a while, and we just got to get used to it. We want to see fights. We want to see great fights, but we see that everybody's trying to chase as much money as they can get as fast as they can get. So a lot of times we're not going to see what should take place in the natural progression. We're going to see some guys who shouldn't be fighting get hurt because they was chasing the bag, and we're going to have to live with that. But the fight cards that you just named, Marty, those are great fights to watch. I'll look forward to them. And we're going to keep talking about this until things realign and we get the great fights. And that's why you as a content creator, Dean, 2 Cents, and so forth, need to push those narratives so we can stop arguing about who's ducking and start arguing about who's going to win when the fights are made. That's it for me.
And listen here, Mr. Greg, that was amazing. I'm gonna just leave y'all with this. March 1st, I'll be in the building. I'm very accessible. You know I got to come see my guy. You know he a little bit away. I got confirmation. We will be in the building, absolutely. And I thought Lomachenko said that he'll be ready at the top of the year. Where is Lomachenko at? Go put an APB out and go find that man. Because he told Shakur Stevenson he'll fight him for free in August on the Terrence Crawford card, but then don't want to fight Gervonta Davis for tens of millions of dollars, and then said that he wanted to be with his family and that he'll be ready at the top of 2025. But then as we see, Gervonta Davis is fighting March 1st. So people told me that Loma was a duck pending. Yeah, I don't know if that's a new phrase, Mr. Greg, a duck pending. I've never heard of that before, but okay. So it looked like Loma is, if he don't retire, he's going to fight somebody else that's not Gervonta Davis. Now, I don't know what you would call that. Okay? I don't know what y'all would call that. But all I know is y'all was sitting up there saying Tank don't want to fight the best. He ain't going to fight Loma. He don't want to fight Shakur and all of these things that people were saying. Look how it come around, though. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. Somebody please go find Lomachenko, please. That's all I ask. I holler at y'all, man. Y'all brothers, man. Y'all continue to cook and continue to do the amazing job that y'all doing, and I hope y'all families as well, man. Truly. And I'm out.
All right, D.
Hey,
all right,
Dean.
y'all. Yo.
I'll see you March 1st.
My guy, Lucky, make sure you pull up on me, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna see you March 1st, bro. Hey, look. I seen I found another ad, Mr. Greg. I found another ad, and they said talking about them phones, and they got them good ones for 5G, all unlimited network. Now this is the thing though, you gotta have a food stamp card. So if he listening, if you got a food stamp card, all you gotta do, give him the last 4 digits to your food stamp card, and they gonna hand you one. Go check them out, Band Up.
We still waiting for that funniest moments, Marty.
Yes, sir. We got it.
Y'all have a good night, man.
Okay, Lucky. Hey, Marty, what fights do we have this month?
We got a card coming up. I'm gonna be speaking on that little this week. Pero against Richardson Hitchens on the 7th, and then Neverett against oh man, his name just slipped out of my Oscar Valdez, the rematch.
That's on Pro Box.
No. One is on I think one is on the Zone.
Okay.
And I think the other one is on ESPN. Don't quote me on that last one.
Right. You gonna be on Friday?
That's gonna be on. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
But right now, most likely I'll be back Friday. But I definitely will be here Wednesday.
Okay.
I definitely will be back live and living color Wednesday. And since you up here again, Mr. Greg, how about you give us your last 30? I'm gonna turn my mic off. The show is yours. 30 seconds. Close us out, Mr. Greg.
Okay. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has a great Christmas because we're in that season. All of us still love boxing. We're going to be here. We're going to keep debating. We're going to keep talking about matchups that we hope to see. And maybe we'll talk them into fruition. Anyway, you all be safe. You all enjoy yourselves. Stay on top of boxing. so we can come back and share what information that we have and even have some great discussions about it. I love coming on talking to the younger guys about boxing, seeing what they're doing, seeing the things that they hope to do in this sport. And we'll continue to see each other and respect each other. And we love this game. We love Marty. We love the other guys who come on. And let's keep this going. That's all I got to say. And good night to you all.